But I stick with my commitment.
Gertner House.
Oh my god, I forgot about the text to speech.
Clara. Gertner Farm.
Right. Let's see if we can make it a little faster, alright? First of all,
Main option. Language. High.
I'm tired
Voice
of zero.
assist. Mic.
Voice assist.
Give me David.
Options.
Alright, Jorg.
Big Jurg says, hey, Magdalene. Can I help you with something? Player says, I found Dr. Stahls passed out drunk by the bakery, sleeping in a ditch. Big Jurg says, again.
Again.
For Christ's sake. It happening occasionally is fine, but the man can't hold his beer. Option 1 of 2 if you say so. Option 2 of 2 to be blunt, even occasionally doesn't seem proper to me.
Yeah.
Big Jurg says a man just sometimes has to unwind. Relieve the burden of responsibilities.
Are you pulling a man has to do this? A man again?
In any case, I'll take him home. No need to worry. Player says nod.
Okay,
Big
cool.
Jurg.
We
Gertner
fixed
House.
that.
Maps.
We still have a marker at the Gertner's farm.
Gertner
Do you need
House.
to speak to someone here?
Veronica.
Veronica.
Veronica says hello, how is the mural going? I hope my husband hasn't been bothering you about it too. Option 1 of 3 is that a concern?
The council has left me to work for the most part. I think Oates has something to do with that.
Veronica says that boy has his eye on you, Magda. At least he's using his authority to do some good.
He's thinking with his penis, so not really.
Usually that lot just meddle around in things that are best left alone.
Is this game incredibly loud now? Like, what is going on?
Options. Language. High contrast.
Did the update
Master volume.
change the volume or something?
High contrast. Master volume.
It's so loud.
High contrast. Master volume.
The fuck is happening? Okay.
Master volume. High contrast.
It's crazy.
Master volume.
I mean,
Writing volume. Music volume.
this became incredibly
Master,
loud
high
all of a sudden.
contrast. Text size. Notification time. Voice assist volume.
Tone that down a
Voice
little,
assist
maybe.
volume. Voice assist speed. Voice assist speed.
Oh, we can have it faster. Oh, nice. Is this volume new, maybe?
Voice assist volume.
Maybe.
Voice assist volume.
Yeah, this seems
Voice assist volume.
this seems
Voice assist
alright.
volume. Notification time.
Let's
Options.
check it out.
Those men are bad influences on each other, if you ask me.
Oh, the speed is really good though. This is gonna speed things up.
Now they're chattering on about a yearly check of the hinges on every door in town.
I mean, this may be a little too fast.
Language, dialogues, language, icon, voice assist speed, voice assist.
There we go.
Options.
Better.
Hinges. Who gives a damn if the hinges on our front door creak?
This is good. This is decent. It's a decent speed now. It's a little faster than before, but it's not like...
Option 1 of 3 they re just trying to keep the town in order. Option Veronica says yes, well, I don't need to check every door in my house every year like it's a feast day.
Oh, maybe you should though.
If there's a creaky hinge, I'll hear it. Anyway, I think it's good of you to be working on the mural. I wish Artemis and Apollo would take interest in something like that. Father Thomas still reminds me that they tried to put frogs in the tabernacle.
Oh, they are screwed, aren't they?
I heard you were the one to stop them, by the way. Thank you. Father Thomas
I
says
didn't
they're
mean
only so
to.
much trouble because I named them after Greek gods. Eva read us a story about them, and I liked it. I still do. If anything, they should be more well behaved. Option 1 of 3 names do have power, though. Maybe the
Names
spirits
have
of the gods
power.
are affecting the twins.
What the fuck?
Option 3 of 3 names have only as much power as we allow them to have.
Exactly.
Can every Greek name really invoke pagan gods? Veronica says Maybe you're right. Father Thomas spends too much time in his books.
Father Thomas spends too much time with his head up his arse, so...
Besides, then he'd be in a poor state. Father Thomas the doubter. Haha, anyway, I'd better go find those rascals. Good luck on the mural, Magdal. Player says thanks, Veronica.
Alright.
Gertner Farm.
Did we complete? No, there's still a marker.
Clara.
Clara?
Clara says hello, Magdalene, dear, how are you? Option 1 of 2. It's hard to know for certain. One day he seems well, and the next I can hardly understand his words. Clara says, oh, Magdalene.
Oh, he's getting
I'll
much
keep
worse.
praying for you both.
Yikes.
The both of you deserve the best. Life's been hard enough for you already. Please let me know if you need any help around the house. I'd be happy to help.
Yeah, I told you, he's
Option
not
1 of
gonna
2.
see
Thank you,
the end of the
Clara.
mural.
That's very kind of you. I've been so busy in the rat house I've let the house go a bit. Clara says not to worry. I'll come by and help. Besides, then we can chat, and chatter makes chores pass quickly.
True.
With all my children up and grown, and no husband to care for anymore, I've got to make myself useful somehow. Option 1 of 3. Big Jurg is still in the house, though, isn't he?
Yeah, but Big York is Big York, you know, you don't have, like, many interesting conversations with Big York.
Clara says oh, yes. But he's a grown man with children of his own. He and Veronica are capable of caring for their own household now. Eva is taking care of it, and Ursula and Fabian have their own life together.
Did this guy just say UTS? Instead of OTZ?
They don't need me anymore. Option 1 of 2. But isn't that a good thing? Clara says well. I suppose I am. I thank God that my children are all grown and prospering.
And God, not GOD.
But I do feel there's been something missing in my life. After so many years of tending to them and maintaining a home, I don't know what else to do.
Well, you can come to my house, tend to my father, and to my home.
Option 1
It
of
makes
3.
you
I
happy.
understand. I wouldn't know what to do if I couldn't keep working in the printing press. Clara says you are a driven one, Magdalene. The Lord has given you a gift. Never let anyone take that from you, even though you're young. You'll make a good life for yourself that way.
I know.
Player says I won't, I promise. Clara says good. Anyway, I'll come by later, alright?
Sure.
Player says I'll see you then. Clara says God bless you, Magdalene.
Alright, so that must have been it. There's still a marker in the farm. I don't know.
Clara, Gertner bedroom. Gertner house.
There's nothing else around here.
Clara. Gertner farm. Veronica. Gertner farm. York.
We fixed the thing with York. Well, let's
Big
just
York.
go.
Gertner house.
I think it's
Town
over.
Commons.
We need the doctor to translate. Oh, we need
Wojcislav.
Brother Wojslav.
Wojcislav says God
Never
bless
mind,
you.
Wojcislav.
Gertner Endries. Raising. Central Town.
Freaking Wojcislav, man.
Town Commons.
Doctor is
Alban
dead.
Bakery.
Um,
Albert Maps.
we can talk to Father Thomas,
Apollo.
even though
Steinauer
I would rather
Hauptgraf.
get kicked in the balls, but
and Druckers.
suppose we have to.
Drucker House. Martin Bauer Mill. Our Lady of the Labyrinth.
And then I suppose we can do the thing where we pretend we want to visit the abbey because we want to take the votes or
Thomas.
something.
Thomas says God bless you, Magdalene. Player says and God bless you, Father Thomas. Do you have a moment? Thomas says of course. What can I help you with? Player says I wanted to ask you about Tassing Saints. I'd like to represent them in the rat house. Thomas says I'm thrilled to hear it. The Saints will make a wonderful centerpiece for the murals. Option 1 of 2. You misunderstand, Father. I may incorporate them, but there are other possibilities. Option 2 of 2. No, not as a centerpiece, simply as part of Tassing's history. Thomas says Of course, I consider our saints to be central to Tassing's history. Kearsarge, 2.
There's a nativity representation in the back there with the Magi's bringing the gifts to baby Jesus. I thought the dock might have been an alternative to taking the vows. I thought so too, but the dock is still there, passed out, and Big York didn't move, so I guess he's gonna move with time.
But you know there is one saint you're overlooking. Option 1 of 2.
And Moritz?
Thomas says why, the Blessed Virgin, of course. Mary.
What?
Many people forget that Mary is the greatest saint, and she visited one of the peasants here in Tassing, centuries ago.
The what now?
Option 1 of 2 what, really?
The Virgin Mary
Option
appeared
2
in
of 2 the
Tassing.
Virgin Mary appeared in Tassing? Why, Thomas says yes. She appeared to give a message. Centuries ago, a farmer in the fields behind us had 3 visions of Mary. In the first, she told him that she wanted him to tell the Bishop of Freising that she had appeared. The peasant traveled down to Freising, but the bishop would not see or hear him. Option 1 of 3 that seems like a reasonable response, all things considered. Thomas says perhaps, but blessed are those who believe but have not seen. But sadly, the bishop did not believe. The peasant returned to Tassing and had another vision in the field.
Right.
The Virgin showed him a pattern, a labyrinth. She told him to draw it on a sheet of birch bark and bring the drawing to the Bishop of Freising. Option 1 of 2 why didn't she just give him the labyrinth the first time? Thomas says, the bishop attempted to turn the peasant away, but he could see the drawing of the labyrinth in his hands. It was the same image that the bishop had seen in a dream 3 nights earlier.
Ah.
He met with the peasant, who told him of the 2 apparitions he had seen here in Tassing. The bishop was moved by the peasant's story and he came here, to Tassing. Option 1 of 2 the bishop came here? Thomas says he did. It's the only time the bishop has ever come to Tassing.
Right.
And when the bishop came, Mary appeared to both of them.
Why not just talk to the bishop directly and skip the middleman? You gotta keep them humble, you know? These bishops get big heads, and you gotta keep it humble.
She told the farmer that the town needed to build this church. She told the bishop to support the town. Option 1 of 2 I had no idea that's where all of this came from. Thomas says it's not a story I tell much anymore. I suppose the people here think of Moritz and Sasha, their connection to this place.
Did like the story of Moritz and Sasha, though.
Mary is such a core part of their prayers that they forget about our particular Mary. But in any case, Our Lady's demands were clear, so the bishop helped fund the creation of this church. The people of Tassing have been using it ever since. Option
Right.
1 of 3 You re not from Tassing. How did you hear the story? Thomas says true, I am not. The people told me when I came, and the former priest told them when they were children, and so on.
Right.
The priest and the flock have shared the responsibility of passing on the story over the century. Player says thank you for the story. Thomas says have I convinced you to include the saints prominently in the mural? Option 1 of 3 you actually have.
I'm considering it.
Option 2 of 3 I am still considering it. Thomas says Well,
MM.
if deliberation fails you, perhaps you will find that prayer gives you greater clarity. God bless you and your work, Magdalene. Player says God bless you, Father Thomas.
MM.
Church and Druckers.
Alright. Well, that wasn't
Bill.
as bad as
Our
I
Lady
thought
of
it
the
would be.
Labyrinth. Maps.
We still have a marker at the gardener's farm. I don't know why. Should we go and check again?
Martin Bauer Farm. Martin Bauer, Brigitta. Hans Bauer Farm. Yuta, Hetty, Hans Bauer House, Simon, Town Common, Gertner Farm.
Can we maybe talk to Big York again?
Big Jurg. Big Jurg says Magdalene. How are the hinges on your doors? Option 1 of 2 Option 1 of 2 fine, I guess. Big Jurg says Maybe Andres should take a look at them. I would have asked your father, but, well, anyway, you wouldn't believe how many people in this town leave their hinges to rust.
What's this fixation with hinges? I know you took a look at, what's her name, Hetta's hinges, but come on, Big York, you can't come onto me this strongly.
Option 1 of 3 is that something the council is worried about? Option 3 of 3 really Jurg, if you want an excuse to snoop in people's homes, just invite yourself over for supper.
I didn't realize you had such an interest in hinges.
Option 2 of 3 Big Jurg says it's not my interest in particular. Paul would like to institute a yearly check of all homes in Tassing. Option 1 of 2 What do you think of the idea, Jurg?
It's a little bit nosy.
Option 2 of 2 It does seem a bit nosy to me. Why not just let folks take care of themselves? Big Jurg says that's my thinking, too. I don't see why we need to make this whole thing official.
Right.
Everyone in Tassing helps each other. As I see it, if someone notices a house in disrepair, we all pitch in to fix it. To do anything else would be unchristian. But if Paul wants to see it through, I'm happy to go along with it. Makes me feel useful, you know.
You're the one that goes around fixing hinges, I see.
Speaking of, I'd better get back to work. Player says see you later, Big Jurg. Big Yerg says hello.
Is
Mag
it
Gurtner-
is the
Maps.
marker over now? There's still a marker. What the frick? What do they
Gurtner
want me
house.
to do?
Veronica. Veronica says hello. Gurtner farm. Clara. Clara says hello. Gurtner farm.
There's nothing else to do unless there's another big York.
Big Yerg
Nope.
says hello. Magdalene.
I don't know.
Hansbauer farm.
I'm just gonna leave it there.
Town Commons. Artemis. Kreutzer Heights. Church and Druckers.
All right. Well, let's go.
Central Town. Drucker House.
Pretend we
Martin
want to
Bauer
be
Mill. Our
unknown.
Lady of the
To
Labyrinth.
sneak into the abbey.
Meadow. Church and Druckers. Golden Hand Inn. Martha. Carl. Mill. Forest.
It does seem a little extreme, but
Lower
that's
Abbey.
the only thing we can do apparently.
Upper Abbey. Shrine.
Right.
Convent Garden.
All right. Let's do it.
Gertrude. Gertrude says, God, would you like to go inside and meet with option 1 of 2? Yes, let's go. Gertrude says, Mother Francisca, I'd like to introduce Magdalene Drucker in.
We talked. We have been introduced.
Francisca says, the printer's daughter. Yes, God bless you, Magdalene. Father Thomas told us of your father's condition, and we pray for his recovery daily.
Of course.
Option 1 of 2. Oh, thank you, Abbess. Francisca says such is our duty to serve the Lord and the community that provides for us. Now, what is this about? Sister Gertrude, you know our holy rules. Why bring young Mistress Drucker in to me? Gertrude says, forgive me, Mother. Magdalene is searching for a place in the world, and is contemplating the holy life. I thought observing the sisters might aid her in her spiritual search. She was encouraged by the idea.
This is gonna. This isn't gonna end well.
Player says, right. Yes. Francisca says, so you've decided to consider my offer after all. If God is calling you to the convent, I am more than willing to help you fulfill that divine cause. What brought this change on? Why are you interested in joining the Poor Clares? Option 1 of 3.
Oof.
I am worried that helping my father, running the shop alone, and finishing the mural are too much for me.
I had a holy vision of Saint Seisha who told me I was destined for higher things. Yikes. Let's say it. Let's go for the first one.
Francisca says, Magdalene, you should not abdicate your worldly duties for fear of the unknown. However, I agree that working a printing shop and painting are not suitable duties for a woman.
Yikes.
Thank God you have turned to us for help. It is no wonder you have felt overburdened by all of it. Please, come, I am happy to tell you more of our order.
I don't think she's overburdened by the painting and the press. Quite the opposite. It's everything else that's the problem.
Francisca says our small convent used to be part of the larger Kiersau double monastery, as I'm sure you've been told by Sister Gertrude. However, the Poor Clares live far differently than the Benedictines that once lived here. We believe that it is not ours to produce, and live solely on the alms of the community of Tassing, as they see fit to give. Likewise, none of the sisters here own any personal property. We share this convent as a gift from the church.
Right. Who's this one?
We believe that the Lord called us into a life of poverty and service. Does such a life appeal to you, Magdalene? Player says, I'm not entirely certain yet. I'd like to explore and look around, get a feel for the place.
Yeah, I want to get a feel of the place, you know?
Francisca says, Magdalene, you must not have understood me. We have deliberately closed ourselves off from the world. I won't have a laywoman bothering the sisters from their duties or disturbing our rule. However, I will allow Sister Suzanne to show you our duties. Please take your time.
All right, Suzanne.
When you have finished, please come find me, and we will discuss your decision to join. Player says, finally. I thought she'd never finish. Suzanne says, what? Player says, truthfully,
Suzanne says,
I'm
what?
not here to join the convent. I'm looking for references for a mural I'm painting in the rat house.
Wow, Magdalene, you're very quick to spill the beans to the first woman you meet that's not Francisca. Like, that was a little bit quick.
Option 1 of 2. Well, I'm going to take a look around. Where are we going first? Suzanne says, the convent has many parts. The kitchen, the loquarium, the chapter house, the yard, and the old workshop, though no one uses that old shed anymore. I'll leave it to you to decide where to go first.
All right. Where do we go
Convent
first?
chapel.
Let's see.
Convent courtyard. Marguerite.
Marguerite.
Marguerite says, God bless you, Magdalene.
Magdaleno.
Convent kitchen.
Let's go see the kitchen. Why not?
Suzanne says this is the kitchen. There's not anything that interesting here.
I mean, there's an old woman caressing a fish with what looks like a stone knife. That seems quite interesting to me.
Sister Marie and Sister Isabeau take care of most of the kitchen duties, but everyone pitches in when needed.
Isabeau. Oh, wasn't this...
Convent cloister, Isabeau, Marie. Marie says God bless you, child. Are you delivering something? Option 1 of 2 no, sister. I'm learning more about the convent's history, so that I can finish a mural in town. Marie says ah, I see. This kitchen has been used for decades. Longer than I've been alive, to be sure. I enjoy preparing meals for the sisters that nourish us, but I can never bring myself to butcher the animals. Sister Isabeau has graciously taken on that task for me.
Right.
We need sustenance, but I feel butchering any animal is wrong according to the rule of Saint Francis. To cause suffering to any living creature is unnecessary and evil, even if God granted Adam and Eve dominion over the animals.
Oh, that's why you do it quick. You don't make them suffer.
Player says the kitchen seems fairly simple. Is there anything here from the convent's founding days? Marie says no more than the structure itself, I'm afraid. Cookware needs replacing over the years.
Right.
Some nights, a ghost appears to me by the cook fire.
I'm sorry?
A lost spirit, trapped between heaven and hell. Suzanne says Sister Marie, not this again. Not to Magdalene, please.
Oh, I'm very interested about the ghosts of the convent.
Option 1 of 4 could it have been a ghost of Option 1 of 4 could it have been a ghost of one of the sisters from the founding of the convent? Maybe even Saint Tasha? Marie says if it was, she has never said a word to me, though I fell prostrate in prayer before her. The spirit, whoever it is, rose up through the ground at vigils. Dawn and dusk are the hours when the boundaries between this world and the spiritual world are weakest.
The heck is she talking about?
We may be the newest arrivals here, but this convent is very old. Perhaps there was something Roman underneath this foundation centuries before. The spirit may seek to know the presence of God now that it rests on holy ground. Option 1 of 3 a spirit, in Kiersaw. Why would it come to the convent, though? Marie says it breaks my heart to think the spirit was crying out for help, trapped beyond heaven's reach. Suzanne says why don't we keep going, Magdalene? It's better not to get Sister Marie too upset. Player says of course. Marie says God bless you.
Of course, let's not get her upset. I don't even want to talk to
Convent
Isabel.
cloister. Marguerite.
Wasn't the entrance
Convent
to the
courtyard.
aqueduct around here somewhere?
Convent chapel. Convent loquarium. Convent chapel.
Check the chapel. That should be pretty cool. Oh, true.
Suzanne says this is the chapel, where we all gather for mass and liturgy. It's the oldest part of the convent. Gertrude says and the most drafty.
Right.
Player says hello again, Sister Gertrude. Gertrude says the sisters have done some minor
Is that the
retouches over the years,
Mithrarium?
but it has represented the abbey from its earliest days. Player says oh, there's the tower and the library. The cloister is still being constructed here. Gertrude says yes, the tower was a Burgfried long before the structure became a monastery.
Hmm.
Suzanne says the duchy gifted it to the Benedictine order after the Holy Roman Empire grew. They had no use for it as a keep. Gertrude says these walls have protected Tassing from attacks of spirit and steel for generations.
Holy shit. The attacks of spirit.
Player says there's Latin here, too. God called Lady Sabina to lead our sisters and brothers in 1261. Lord Kearsaw's castle was destroyed by fire in the year of the death of Emperor Frederick II. Only the tower remained.
Emperor Frederick II. Electric Boogaloo.
Suzanne says well done, Magdalene. Yes, the first lists the abbey's founding date. Gertrude says the Lady Kearsaw was actually the one to suggest the old castle be turned into a double monastery.
Right.
We added the second shortly after the revolt. Mother Illuminata thought it would be fitting. Even if the sisters were not here, some record of what occurred would remain. Kearsaw is unique. A double monastery with 2 saints, 1 male and 1 female, to guard the town and abbey.
That is pretty cool though.
Option 3 of 3. Fascinating to think that even before the Duke gifted it to the church, the fortification was founded by Saint Moritz. Gertrude says the saints have a long history in these lands. Many things once thought lost are truly foundational to how we live. Player says you were right, sister. This mural will be a great reference for the rat house. Gertrude says then I'm glad to have helped. God bless you, Magdalene.
Again, I would like to represent St. Moritz
Convent cloister.
and St. Stacia for the mural. Like, that would be
Convent courtyard.
a very crucial part of the history of the abbey.
Suzanne says BRR. It's colder today. There's not much in the yard that could help you, I think. Anything that was here has long been covered in weeds. All I know about this place is that the walls were added when the convent was built onto the monastery. Oh, God bless you, Sister Benedicta. Benedicta says Sister Suzanne. God bless you. Ugh. This ice is hard. Player says, do I recognize you, Sister Benedicta? I think I've seen you in town once or twice. Suzanne says yes, you'd have seen her. Sister Benedicta is the youngest of the sisters.
Right.
Mother Francisca allows only one sister to deal with the townsfolk.
Oh.
Benedicta received this privilege. Benedicta says burden, more like. I have to run around everywhere, gathering all the food and doing all the chores. I'd rather be inside, where it's warm. What are you doing up in the convent, anyway?
Fair enough.
Option 1 of 3, I am considering joining the poor Clares, actually.
Snooping.
Option 3 of 3, snooping.
Considering
Option 1 of 3, I
joining.
am considering Benedicta says, oh, you are? It would be nice to have another new face around. Don't let me keep you. Player says, actually, Sister Benedicta, I wanted to ask you some questions.
Alright, here we
Do
go.
you like being a nun? Benedicta says, oh yes, I don't mind it at all. It's far quieter than home, and I don't have to share my bed with my siblings anymore.
Oh, I like quiet, and I like not sharing with siblings. Maybe I should become a nun.
I like to help the older sisters, and I don't mind the chores, except when it's cold like this. Player says, one more question, Sister Benedicta. Have you seen any mysterious figures or ghosts lately? Benedicta says, ghosts. No, everything has been normal recently. I haven't noticed anything.
Alright, no
odd.
ghosts.
Is this about Sister Marie's ghost? I think it's Mauritius, myself.
Mauritius.
Suzanne says, oh, no. Option 1 of 2 who?
Who?
Benedicta says Mauritius. Don't tell Mother Francisca this, but I found an old book about Christian legends hidden in the workshop.
Oh.
It said that a Roman commander named Mauritius conquered Tassing, but the colony failed. Most of the town was empty until Christian refugees found a town hidden in the valley. Option 1 of 2 Christian refugees.
I wonder if this is a different
Option 2
retelling
2,
of the
I wonder if
Moors.
This is a different retelling of Saint Moritz saving task. Benedicta says, oh, maybe. I don't remember if the book mentioned any saints. The Latin was hard to read.
Interesting.
Anyway, when Sister Marie said she saw a ghost, I thought it must be Mauritius, trying to get us out. A Roman ghost couldn't be happy about his tower being turned into an abbey, could he? Option 1 of 2 definitely not.
What did you do with the book?
Benedicta says, oh, well, I had it with me in the kitchen one day, and I accidentally laid the fire poker on it.
Oh my god, you didn't.
Option 1 of 3, well, that's unfortunate. Option 2 of 3, oh my god. It must be completely destroyed. Benedicta says I tried to fix it, but it's unreadable now. Sorry, Magdalene. Option 1 of 3, that's alright. That book would probably have gone unread otherwise. I'm glad you were enjoying it. Player says besides, that story gives me ideas for the Rat House mural. Thanks for telling me about the book. Benedicta says haha, God bless you.
Alright.
Convent Art Studio.
The art studio. Oh my god, take a look at this place. This is awesome.
Player says cough. The workshop is covered in dust. Suzanne says yes. This was the Benedictine sisters' workshop. They used to make badges and art for pilgrims coming to see the hand of Saint Moritz.
The badges. They gave the pilgrims badges. That's so cool.
Player says it looks like everything was just left here after the fire. Nothing's been used in years.
Why don't they do it anymore?
Suzanne says we can't subsist on painting, and the poor Clares don't produce goods for sale, so we have no reason to be in here.
Right.
Option 1 of 3, but art allows us to find beauty in life. Even Christ said the Father clothed the lilies of the field in beauty. Suzanne says I agree, but that's not the rule of the poor Clares. Mother Francisca considers art a temptation into hedonism.
Of course you would.
Mother Francisca doesn't let us come in here, unless to put something in storage. I've come in a few times and noticed some of the brushes have gone missing. Paint pots, too.
Oh, really?
Option 1 of 3, you think one of the sisters is secretly painting? Suzanne says, oh, Lord, no. We all live too close together in the convent for
So
something
someone
like that
else
to go
came in
unnoticed.
here.
In any case, I think it's sad the workshop is left like
There's
this.
someone just snooping around everywhere and we don't know who it is.
Truthfully, Magdalene, I don't think you should join the convent, even if that's not what you were here to do anyway.
Any purple paint missing? Yeah, that's what I was about to check.
Gertrude talks about you, and you seem to love your art. Without it, you'd hate it here. Player says there's an old parchment scrap here. It's different from the others.
Oh, yeah?
Player says it looks like a scrap from a manuscript. There's something written in Latin in the margin.
Mithrium. There we go.
The Mithrium of Tassing had been destroyed by a flood.
Oh, look at that.
Mithrium. That's the same word I saw in the Roman section of the mine. Option 2 of 2. Why would someone have written that in the margins of a manuscript? And where's the rest of the book? Option 1 of 2. Wait, this might be from the book Sister Benedicta found. I wonder why it would mention the Mithrium. Suzanne says I don't know. It's not a word I've ever heard before. There's certainly nothing in the convent by that name. Player says well, the note says the Mithrium was destroyed, so I suppose it doesn't matter much now.
That's a shame.
Player says such valuable paint, left to dry and crack on the pallets. These old badges are beautiful. I hope the pilgrims who bought them love them, too. Convent courtyard.
Okay, that was about it. So there was
Convent
only the
cloister.
page of the book.
Convent cloister.
Nothing else. What else do we have to explore? We did
Convent
the chapel,
chapel.
we did everything other than the
Convent
aquarium. Wait, hold on, hold.
Options.
How do I...
Ex libris.
Do I do that thing again? There we go. What the heck? Why is my mouse not locked to the screen, by the way? Whatever.
Convent loquarium. Suzanne says here's the loquarium. Most of the abbey's visitors come in here, but aren't allowed to enter.
Right.
We aren't allowed to go into the outside world, either. Like Mother Francisca said, isolation is a part of our vows. Sister Gertrude once told me the old Benedictine sisters used to go out into town sometimes, and even talk to men on occasion, and I'm stuck here, staring at these walls for the rest of my life.
You don't sound too happy about it.
Option 1 of 3. Are you unhappy here, Sister Suzanne? Option, player says it doesn't seem like Sister Suzanne thinks much of her life here. Option 1 of 2. I can't blame her. Player says even so, she doesn't seem to have the passion that Sister Gertrude and the others have. Option 1 of 2. If she hates her life here so much, maybe I should encourage her to leave the order.
No, we should not.
Option 2 of 2. She must have chosen to stay here for some reason. Maybe I should encourage her in her vocation. Player says even I've had days when I never wanted to be a printer again. Maybe I can help her see the joys of monastic life again. I don't want to overstep my bounds. Option 1 of 3. Are you unhappy here? Option 2 of 3. You didn't always want to be a poor Claire. Suzanne says ha. No, who would want to be a nun?
Good point.
My father promised me to the church as a baby. Some oath he swore when my mother
Yikes.
struggled in her pregnancy. So there I was, dropped into the poor Claire's the summer I turned 17. Option 1 of 3. And they took you in, just like that? Nobody asked what you wanted? Suzanne says why should they? The poor Claires rely on the offerings of others, even their children, to subsist. My family is devoted to the church. I've only been in the convent for 2 years, but I'm trying my best. I don't mind the prayers or the hours, and I'm sure of my devotion to the Lord.
So she's
But
19.
this isn't what I wanted. But since when did a woman ever get what she wanted without being punished? Eve couldn't even manage it. Option 1 of 3. We can only do the best we can. I pray that one day it'll be different. Suzanne says maybe, but we certainly won't ever live to see it.
Nope.
Sometimes, I get jealous of Sister Gertrude and even Sister Marguerite. At least they got to see something of the outside world before they were 20. Option 1 of 5. Hey, you're protected here from the plague and the Protestant rebels. It's a good life. Option 2 of 5. Why don't you leave? Option 3 of 5. I think you're lucky. You don't have to deal with boys.
Oh, the boys in town are the worst, trust me. What would you want
Option
to
4
be?
of 5. If you could do anything else, what would it be? Suzanne says I would have liked to go to one of the big cities, at least once. I would have been happy just to be a shopkeeper's wife. Sigh. Thanks for listening, Magdalene.
Yeah, no problem.
Anyway, let me show you the rest of the cloister. Player says lead on. Convent cloister. Suzanne says well, you've seen the entire convent. There's not much here. What do you think of it? Option 1 of 3. I understand the appeal of such a small life. It offers its own freedoms from the world, even if I'm not drawn to it.
Yeah, I mean...
Option 2 of 3. I can see why people choose the holy life, but it's not for me, not without art. Suzanne says I understand. You've dedicated your whole life to your work. You'd struggle to give that up now. It's been so long since I've spoken to anyone from outside the convent. I'm reminded of the life I once had.
Oh boy.
Now you have me thinking about whether or not I should remain with the sisters.
Oh boy.
Option 1 of 2, I think you should stay.
Should I stay or should I
Option 2
go?
of 2, I think you should go.
I mean, fuck it. We already fucked it up like throughout the entire game, so I think you should go.
Player says your family just left you here. You don't owe the sisters anything. Suzanne says I do.
And of course I failed.
The sisters have taken care of me. They love me, and I love them. Even if this life wasn't my choice, they accepted me. Who knows, maybe it
I
will
can
get
never
better in
pass
time.
a single check.
Player says maybe. I'll try to help any way I can, even if it's just sneaking around the convent wall to say hello. Suzanne says really? That would be wonderful, so long as no one found out. Anyway, we should return to Mother Francisca before she suspects some. Option 1 of 2, I learned a lot today. Thank you for showing me around the convent. Suzanne says no, thank you, Magdalene. Today has been more interesting than any I can remember in the Abbey. Come,
Okay.
let's
Well, at
find
least we
Mother
made
Francisca.
someone's day better.
She'll be wanting to hear what you thought of the place. Francisca says, well, Magdalene. What is your assessment of the poor Clares?
Oh boy, here we go.
Is the good Lord calling you to a life with us as a sister? Option 1 of 3, I am compelled by the devoted life the sisters lead, Mother Francisca, but I'm afraid I must tend to my father first. Option 2 of 3, I think I prefer my books and printing. And in any case, I need to finish the mural. Then I might take over for my father.
Oh,
Option 3 of 3, well, I hadn't thought about my holy duty of providing children to a husband, and I just can't give that up so soon.
let's just go with that. They'll understand.
Francisca says motherhood is a divine blessing, Magdalene. Be careful with your sarcasm.
It was not a sock. Oh, well,
Option 1 of 2, I don't know what you're talking about. Francisca says I think you do, young lady. Our community is quite modest compared to the splendor of an old Benedictine house operating under the rule of a powerful abbot. I see why fewer women are drawn to the order these days. I will pray that you find your way, Magdalene. God bless you.
I just can't say the right thing in this game ever.
Gertrude says Magdalene. How did your little expedition go? Option 1 of 3, I learned a lot from seeing the Abbey. I have a good idea of what I'll depict in the mural now.
Yeah, we didn't learn too much.
Player says, but sister, there's something I don't understand. The Abbey was so prosperous. Why didn't the monks rebuild it after the fire?
That's a very good question.
Gertrude says, what a task that would be. The chapel was beautiful. The stained glass always caught my eye in the mornings. There was a great deal of anger and sadness in Tassing that night. The abbot felt the brothers and sisters were no longer welcome in Tassing, and moved on. In truth, the abbey's dissolution was inevitable. Kearsarge was running out of money and patrons.
Thanks to Brother Guy.
The riot and fire were simply a particularly awful and painful way to end the monastery. Player says, did anything survive the fire? Gertrude says, Some of the buildings are intact, but all are terribly overgrown. I haven't dared forage in the rubble. I doubt you'd find anything of help for your mural inside, other than charred wood and parchment. Option 1 of 3, that's a shame. Option 2 of 3, it might still be worth taking a look. Gertrude says, I worry after you sometimes, Magdalene.
I'm fine.
I really do. Player says, thank you for all your help. Gertrude says, you are most welcome, Magdalene. God bless you.
God bless you, Gertrude.
Prioress house.
You're the best.
Upper Abbey. Convent Loquarium.
Right. Do you think we can sneak into the
Upper
Abbey?
Player says, well, that was. I don't know. I did learn more about the founding of Kearsarge, and that illustration from the manuscript, the Mithraeum. It was like the one in the mine. Is it part of the history of the Abbey? Of Tassing? It must be written down somewhere. If only the library hadn't burned down with everything in it. The ruins are right there. Maybe not everything was destroyed.
Here we go.
Shrine. Lower Abbey. Church.
Here we go, guys. We're sneaking in.
Church.
Okay, so we're inside the church. It's just a little fucked.
Player says, my god, this is amazing. I wonder what it must have looked like before the fire. Everything collapsed in the fire. I'll have to be careful climbing over this rubble to get past.
All right. Man, I do really appreciate the art in this game, though. Like, everything always looks so good.
Oh, shit.
And how they teased me with, like, the interior of the cloister that we never been able to explore, and now they made me explore it at the end of the game. Or, you know, the same thing about the aqueduct. It's so good. This is still a church, though, Magdalene. You shouldn't say shit. Well, we're not going back that way.
Oh no, I can't get back up there. If I climb, it might collapse further. I'll have to find another way out.
Through the aqueducts.
Tower.
Holy crap.
Vines.
Is
Player says there's nothing left of the old staircase. I guess I can't go this way.
that the bells of the bell tower?
These vines go all the way to the top, though. They look sturdy enough to hold my weight. Well, there's no other way out.
What a bad idea. A gloriously bad idea. But we can see the entire town from here, that's nice.
I can see all of Tassing from here. I wonder if I can piece together the foundations of the abbey and find a way to get to the library. I bet I could get down this way. The roof looks pretty stable.
The roof looks pretty stable, she says. Does it look really stable, Magdalene? I don't know about that one, Chief. If we're going by looks alone, it does not look stable at all. What a little vine climber, this girl. All right.
Player says, oh. God.
Oh, the tower. Oh, that's the resting place of Andreas.
I remember when the library burned down. Dad told me I was just a baby, but I remember the flames coming out of the windows. So many people were screaming and running around. I cried myself to sleep that night. I haven't seen this place since then. It doesn't look like there's anything left inside. I suppose it was too much to hope for. Well, Magdalene, how are you going to get out of here? Cemetery. These roses seem to have made the abbey their home. I'm glad something beautiful is still growing here. Cemetery.
Cemetery is still basically intact.
Cloister.
There's so many roses.
These roses seem to have made the abbey their home. I'm glad something beautiful is still growing here.
Oh no. My Geiger counter is going off again. I'll get out of here.
Old Bailey. Cloister.
Yo, there's
I wonder
cats.
if there were always this many cats at the abbey. Perhaps I can ask Wojcislav what he remembers during his time here.
Yeah, well, Jace love.
Pet.
Good kitty. Good kitty.
Pet.
Yeah. Oh, this was the large
This place is a
garden.
mess. How sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
Chapter house. The door's stuck. I can't get through this way.
Right.
Chapter House.
This is where the Baron was murdered? What the frick? What the hell is going on here? Who did this?
Player says, oh, an old mural. It's worn, but I can still see some of the figures.
Fuck?
A dance of death? What? These figures look new. The paint can't be more than a few years old.
Is that the Baron? And then Andreas?
Someone's been adding to this. This feels wrong. Who would add new figures to the Dance of Death? And why? These look like people from the town, from here. People who died. That must be the Baron. And that's Otto.
Which one is Otto? This is Otto. That's that's the one we got killed. I suppose that's the Baron. And who's this? Oh, is this the Miller? Is that a mill? A mole? What do you call it? Although that looks like a woman, it might be the the other girl. The one that killed Otto, technically.
Wait, is that? Someone's here.
Uh-oh.
Hello.
The fuck?
Who are you? Cloister.
That's interesting. It's like a monster is eating the Baron and there's like stuff on the ground, other bodies. This is Brother Ferenc, which was like a devil worshipper or, you know, dealing in esoteric stuff. This has to be Otto. With the... Isn't Zimmerman, wasn't he a carpenter? Is he holding a handsaw? Will make sense. Then the Miller and then Andreas. Oh.
Cloister. Player says the door. Whoever was watching me must have opened it. I don't like this. I think I've seen everything left of the Abbey. I want to get out here. Upper Abbey.
You just want to get out of here, you know, out there. I mean, I made it back out.
When did it start snowing? I should get back to the rat house and get to work. Lower Abbey.
Well, there you go, guys. We've done basically
Meadow.
everything there was to do. Someone is still roaming around
Forest.
old Abbey, that's for sure.
Mill. Mill. Golden Church and Druckers. Mill. Martin Bauer Farm. Drucker House. Central Town.
Well, what do we do about the mural?
Craft. Steinauer House. North Town. Rat House.
I mean, I think I would still like to depict St. Moritz and St. Sacia, probably.
Work
See what
on
the
mu-
options
work
are.
on mural. Werner says Magdalene.
Oh, you're you look better.
Player says Dr. Stahls. Werner says so. You're doing quick work with the mural. I hope that doesn't make you sloppy. Option 1, Option 2, Option 1 of 4. I am trying to finish it in time for Dad. You understand? Option 2 of 4. It's taken longer than I've wanted. I have to get all my other chores done, too. Option 3 of 4. Still think that I shouldn't be painting the mural, Dr. Stahls. Option 4 of 4. Well, I've rigged the scaffolding sheet so that enough air can flow through. That way, the layers dry quickly. Werner says yes, how very clever of you.
Yes, very clever.
In any case, the council wants to hear what you're doing. Player says I've been researching the early Christian history of Tassing, after the Romans left, learning how people settled in the ruins, how the abbey was founded, why our saints are so important to us. It was a lot to take in, but I've settled on my subject. Werner says and, option 1 of 3 I'll paint St. Moritz, St. Sasha, and Our Lady of the Labyrinth receiving the Christian settlers. Option 2 of 3 I want to show history how it happened. I'll paint Lady Kiersa founding the abbey from the old Burgfried.
Yeah, we don't even know who she is. We don't know anything about them.
Option 3 of 3 I'll paint the Bavarians settling among the Roman ruins, starting the Christian history of Tassing.
I like St. Moritz and St. Sasha. I mean, it's a mural. It should be a little bit, you know, hyperbolic.
Option 1 of 3 Player says they are the saints closest to Tassing and Kiersa and have been part of our history for generations.
We literally have the freaking shrine of St. Moritz. Like, come on.
Werner says the saints are a central part of Tassing's identity and income.
Exactly.
Honoring them makes the town look better than it actually is, so I suppose that is worth something. You must always keep in mind that the mural is not just for you, but for all of Tassing. Option
Exactly,
1 of
that's
3
why I'm
remember.
doing it.
Werner says very well. Player says after this section, there's still so much work to do. I haven't even figured out how I'm going to portray the revolt. Werner says
Oof.
yes. I imagine it poses difficulties that the other murals do not.
That's gonna be a tough one.
Player says it's a strange thing to tell a story that still lives in the hearts of so many people here. I don't think anyone wants to talk about it. They've all just locked it away. Werner says
Understandable.
it sounds like you have your work cut out for you. I'll leave you to it, then.
Sure.
Player says Dr. Stalls.
A book that
Werner
might need
says
translation.
Yes.
Can you
Option
help?
1 of 2 Have you ever seen someone lurking around the abbey? Player says or heard about it? Werner says I haven't been up to the abbey in years. And no, I haven't heard of anything like that. Why? Player says I've seen someone following me. A few times. Werner says no, I don't know anything about it. Now, if there's nothing else.
He's not even a little concerned about me.
Option 1 of 2 No, good night, Dr. Stalls. Werner says good night, Magdalene.
Asshole. Alright, well, we're done with the
Player
mural.
says now I only have the final part of the mural to finish. How should I paint the revolt? Dad always talked about how the archdeacon was the only one seeking justice in those days.
Oh, can we talk with him?
But what was his name? The only name I can remember is the name of the archdeacon who came to Tassing when that baron was killed, Jacob Essler. Maybe he wrote an
Who?
account of the revolt as an archdeacon. I'll write to him and ask.
Are you sure?
And of course I need to write back to Esther, too. I'll write to them tonight.
The
Right.
archdeacon. Wasn't he the guy that came
Right.
for the Baron's trial?
Alright, where to
He
begin?
doesn't know anything. He's been here for like 5 minutes.
I'll write to the archdeacon, Jacob Essler, and see if he can tell me about the revolt. I'll
Is
write
he
a
even
letter
still
to
alive?
Esther, too. I hope the courier can make it through the passes before winter. Player says Jacob Essler, formerly archdeacon of Freising.
Holy crap. He's loaded. He's got like a dollar necklace. Oh.
My name is Magdalene Druckerin. I am an artist in the town of Tassing in Upper Bavaria. I believe you passed through our community when you investigated Baron Rothvogel's murder at Kiersa Abbey in 1518. Do you remember anything about that case that the people in Tassing might not remember? Option 1 of 3 in particular, do you remember anything about someone writing notes to provoke the killer?
Ooh.
Player says more have appeared in Tassing in subsequent years, seemingly harbingers of death. Thank you for any help you can give, Magdalene Druckerin.
That's gonna get someone angry.
Dearest Esther, I hope you are well. You must know how tremendously happy I am for you and Simon, and Alicia too, of course. And your parents. It warms my heart to know that your family is doing so well. By the time this letter reaches you, I expect winter will have enfolded Tassing. It's already freezing at night, so I've reorganized the workshop so that the inks don't deteriorate. Do you have to worry about that in Prague? You've said it snows, but I always imagined it was warmer in winter. Dad's condition is so much worse and he's in so much pain.
I mean, it's gonna be warmer than literally in the middle of the Alps.
Dr. Stalls has been, well, he's a useless asshole, only God knows why he's such a bitter old man, but he's neglected Dad almost entirely. Option 1 of 2, some days he doesn't show up, and even if he does, he just snaps instructions at me and rushes off. Option 2 of 2, it's no secret that he's an utter failure of a doctor. And drunkard, to boot.
I'm gonna write this down. I want this on record.
Player says what a disgusting waste of a man. I worry about
Yikes.
that. I've asked Agnes for help, but there's only so much we can do alone. He's not going to make it, and there's nothing I can do. Christ, I'm scared. Esther, the mural is progressing well, but I can't shake the feeling that someone is following me.
It's not just a feeling. We've seen an old man trying to kill us.
I keep seeing this figure around town, after I explored the mines to see Tassing's early history, and then again in the Abbey ruins. Option 1 of 3, no one else in Tassing has seen anything, but some of the nuns say they've seen ghosts. Player says it's the strangest thing. Given me a fright a few times already, but I don't mean to worry you. Nothing's happened to me yet, so I think I'll be safe.
Well, nothing's happened because you were lucky. He did throw a rock at you from down the well. Or not the mine shaft, even. Like, that would have killed you if it... Yet, exactly.
The only good news I can share at the moment is that the mural is almost finished. I should have it completed by Christmas, or soon after. Before the new year, at least.
We gotta finish before Christmas.
Then perhaps, at long last, I shall be able to visit you, and meet the Simon. Anyway, I fear that this will be my last letter of the year. The Reichspost has already been late, and reported worsening snows through the passes. We seem to be stepping into a harsh winter. Stay warm, and give my regards to your family, and Simon, yours always. Magda.
Alright. Couple of hours to write the letters. And then we go to sleep.
Maps.
I don't think we can do... Well, can we just do a little snooping?
Church and Druckers. Central Town.
Did you do a Klaus check? I didn't, but like, at this point.
Steinauer House. North Town. Rat House. North Town.
Just wanted to check if there was someone around town, you know.
Stahl's House. Eisenkopf House. Naziu. Naziu says ciao. North Town.
Ciao. Alright, well, I'm going to
Stahl's
sleep.
house.
I don't
Rat
think
house.
there's anything else to
Central
do.
Town.
It's weird, sometimes this amount of freedom
Steinauer
makes you
house.
think you have stuff to do
Church and
around town,
Druckers.
but there's probably nothing.
Drucker House.
Let's do a Klaus check.
Drucker House Upper. Drucker House Upper.
Then I'm gonna take like a little break. Go to the bathroom, get some water.
Claus. Claus says hello, Magdalene.
Alright. Still breathing.
Drucker House.
Alright, this is going to be a time
Church
skip,
and
so
Druckers.
let me take a quick break before we do it. I'll be back in like a few minutes. Go to sleep.
Player says how did this get here?
What's that? Oh no,
Player says
stop. Oh boy, here we go again.
Player says this is just like the note Dad found. Option 1 of 2, who's doing this? Player says I have a feeling I'm going to find out sooner or later. I need to ask Dad about this. It can't be a coincidence, but he's been so weak. I don't want to upset him, I just need to wait for the right time. I hope there is a right time. Sleep.
There's never going to be a right time.
Player says it's late, I should get some rest soon. Option 1 of 2 go, option 2 of 2 stay awake.
Can we do
Church
it
and
now?
Druckers.
I wonder if
Drucker House
this
Upper.
choice is going to kill my father quickly. Quicker, I suppose. Never sleep again. That's a solution.
Claus says hello, Magdalene.
Klaus says hello, Magdalene, all the time. That's all he says. I think that's like a
Drucker
speech
House.
impediment at this point.
Church and Druckers. Sleep.
But
Player
this should be the
says it's late.
final
I
part
should
of the
get some-
game.
Option 1 of 2 go to sleep.
We're making good time. I think the faster text to speech is actually helping a lot.
Sleep.
Sleep. And it's another 2 weeks exactly.
Reich's postman says Mistress Drucker in. Only one letter for you today.
Oh.
The pass is nigh impossible to traverse, and the heavy snow is hard on the horse, and me. Anyway, happy Advent, my dear. Player says thank you. The same to you.
Who is it?
Ah, a reply from Jacob Essler.
Ooh, nice.
Jacob says Mistress Drucker in. I do recall the Rothvogel case, though it has been over a decade since I have served as an archdeacon. I am no longer associated with the office of the Prince Bishop. In fact, I am no longer associated with the Catholic Church.
How is a Lutheran?
If you do not mind conversing with a Lutheran,
Yeah.
I will tell you what I remember. The notes you mentioned do stir something in my memory. One of the men I questioned at Kiersau was an artist from Nuremberg, Andreas Mahler. He mentioned finding notes, written in a fine hand, inciting individuals to violence against the Baron. While the scope of my investigation was too narrow to look into the matter, it did concern me. Finding more notes now, after so many years, must mean that their author is still active. If this is the case, a serpent has lain coiled in the bosom of your community for decades. It may lay there still. What causes the serpent to awaken every few years to stage a new killing?
That is a real good question.
I fear that finding the answer to that question may draw you into its reach. However, if you are determined to find the source of the trouble, I believe you must inquire with your neighbors. I urge caution in your investigation into this matter. If the serpent merely sleeps, it may be dangerous to poke into its old resting places. I hope this has been of some help to you.
I mean, the snake is basically actively following me, so...
May God bless and keep you safe, Jacob Essler. Player says no reply from Esther this time. It must have been delayed due to the heavy snow. The postman said I won't receive any more letters until spring. I'd better get back to the rat house, then. Still more work to be done.
One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, a bunch of days. Oh my god, it's Christmas Eve.
Player says good morning, Dad. I finally caught up on the mural, and now I can start final part today. I promise, I'll get it done. Claus says Magdalene. I'm proud of you. Player says thanks, Dad. I'm sorry Dr. Stahl said you can't come to the festivities tonight. I know how much you love the Perchtenlauf.
First love. Germanic folk ritual celebrated around Christmas time in which townsfolk dress as the Perchten, and drive evil spirits from the town to protect it in the coming years.
Claus says there's always, next year.
Sure there is, Dad.
Player says, right. How are you feeling? Dr. Stahl said he would come by again today. Claus says fine, fine. I'm fine. Option 3 of 3. Alright. Option 2 of 3 maybe I should stay home with you today. Claus says no, Magdalene. If you want to work, you should work. It's alright. In fact, my spirits are lifted today. It's Christmas Eve, after all. Player says of course. ... Claus says what's wrong? Player says Dad. I found a note, back in November. Claus says a note? What do you mean? Player says it was like a note I found in your plans for the murals, just a scrap of parchment. It looked like it came out of an old manuscript, elaborate writing, purple ink. It just said, stop. Claus says. ... Player says do you know where they came from? Who wrote them? Claus says. ...
Again. Damn, dude.
Magdalene. Player says oh, God. That must be it. He said he'd drop by with more firewood.
Damn it, come on.
Claus says. ... Player says if you know something, I'd like you to tell me, alright? Claus says I know. I will. Can we talk about it later?
It might be too late, Dad.
Option 1 of 2 Dad. Claus says I'll tell you. I promise. Player says alright, I'll be back later. Claus says good. Take care of yourself out there.
There's not going to be a later. They're not going to be. Yeah, no. It's, this is it. I'll tell you
Drucker
later,
House.
he says. In his final moments.
Drucker House upper. Player says still as messy as ever. Drucker House upper. Church and Druckers. It says morning, Magdalene. Player says morning, it's cold out,
It's
isn't it? It says freezing. Makes me envy Nico, able to stay inside all day. Even Endries has his forge to keep him warm. Anyway, here. I brought some firewood for you and your dad.
thanks. That's very nice.
Option 1 of 2
I
thank you.
miss OTZ.
It says you're welcome. Player says.
Dot dot dot.
It says so,
Dot dot dot.
how's your dad? You think he can join everyone for Christmas mass?
No.
Player says I
Oh.
think he'll stay in bed tonight.
The best DJ
do my
in
best to be
tasking.
there.
Lies. God. The big one.
I need to keep working on the mural, though. I'm working on the final section.
Only good old JC came second, alright?
It says about the peasants' revolt, right? It feels weird to talk about. It affected Tassing so much, but we were just kids. I can't remember what happened, since I was just a baby. I never even knew my dad. Player says that's what makes it difficult. I need to ask those. It says
Oh, oopsie.
What if you spoke to people while everyone was preparing for the Christmas festivities? Clara sometimes talks about that night. Mom, too. You might be able to ask them.
Okay, Clara and Eva.
Player says Wojaslav and Matilda are the only 2 Benedictines left living in Tassing.
Matilda's
they'll talk
living
to
in
me.
town?
It says I didn't think of that. Still, the mural is for Tassing, not the old abbey. Agnes has always been in Tassing, right? I'd go to her if I were you. Option 1 of 2 Dad said she helped bury everyone who died that night. I wonder if she'd talk about it? It says it's your project, Magdalene. Might be worth a try. Player says I wrote to the old archdeacon about it too. He thinks that the Baron's murder and Otto's death are connected to the revolt. It says the who? Option 1 of 3 the man who came to Tassing for the Baron Rothvogel's murder.
Rothvogel. It's a new type of gel. Great for burnings and yeah.
It says what about him? Option 1 of 2 he was the judge for the Baron's murder. What if all the deaths in Tassing are connected? It says I don't see how that old Baron has anything to do with the revolt. Are you feeling alright? I think you're looking for connections that aren't there. Maybe this mural project is getting to you.
Shut up, what would you know about it?
Option 1 of 3 I need to get to the bottom of this. There's something more to all this. I know it. It says if you're sure. Player says I'll figure it out somehow. Thanks for the wood. It says see you later, Mags. Player says, ugh, it's right. I should start talking to people around town. I'd better get started if I want to talk to everyone before the Perchtenlauf.
First and love.
Drucker House.
Alright,
Mill, Martin Bauer, Mill, Our Lady of the Labyrinth,
So-
Maps.
midwife, that's Agnes. We also still have the Girdness, but that's this time is Clara and the Golden Hand Inn. Interesting. Just at the inn.
Meadow.
I mean, it's right here. Might as well.
Golden Hand Inn.
Who
Casimir's.
is
Alexander.
this? Who the fuck are these people? The hell is that guy hammering the sausages? What the fuck?
Alexander says well, if it isn't. Magdalene. Option 1 of 2 that's me. Alexander says good. I have seen you around and heard your name mentioned. I apologize for not introducing myself sooner. I am Alexander. This is my partner, Casimir's. We are musicians by trade, travelers by necessity.
Oh yeah?
The weather trapped us on our way back to Würzburg for a Christmas celebration.
Do you have an instrument under your hat? Like that's a excessively big hat.
I had hoped to win the Meistersinger competition there, but alas, we are trapped here until the pass is clear. Player says, how are you finding tassing? Alexander says, everyone has been quite kind and no one has thrown anything at me for my music. Considering the circumstances, I'm counting that as a success. I have to admit I was quite upset that I had missed my opportunity to sing at the Meistersinger competition.
The fuck is the Meistersinger competition? The Guild for Lyric Poets. Right.
Casimir says he practiced so much for it. Alexander says yes. It's hard not to view the last year as a waste. Option 1 of 2, you can try again next Christmas, can't you? Alexander says of course, though the older I get, the less comfort I take in the possibilities of the future.
Jesus Christ, that's bleak.
Missed opportunities sting more with each passing year. Option 1 of 2, well, you have an audience here, the people of Tassing. Alexander says, and perform for them I will. I love performing for people wherever I go. When I sing for people, I want to move them. I want to see it on their faces.
He's like 20 years old.
It's only in that moment that I can connect with them. That's the only truth I know. Meistersinger judges will rate me as they will, but that's not why I want to perform for them. I want to move the masters the way they moved me. Does that make sense?
I don't want to ask, actually, how the masters moved you.
Option 1 of 3, I think so. My dad is my teacher and his approval means a lot to me. Option 2 of 3, I am not sure. Option 3 of 3, I suppose. I make art for my own satisfaction. Alexander says, but certainly if travelers didn't enjoy the art your father prints, they wouldn't buy it. Option 1 of 2, I suppose that's true. Alexander says, consciously or unconsciously, we're all shaped by those who came before and those who surround us. Het. I'm sorry. Just feeling a bit melancholy, I suppose.
I don't want to talk to this guy anymore.
Option 1 of 2, it's the long nights.
Cheer
Option
up,
2 of 2, cheer
buddy.
up. Christmas is here.
Drink a little bit or something. I don't know.
Alexander says, of course. In our darkest hours, the birth of our Savior reminds us that dawn will follow. Perhaps the Christmas feast will lift my spirits. Will I see you there? Player says, absolutely. Almost everyone in town should be there. Alexander says, then I look forward to it. Until then.
Is this guy hitting on Magda?
Alexander. Casimir's.
Because.
Casimir says. ... Hello Magdalene.
Fuck.
Player says you're. Casimir's, right, you're with Alexander. Musicians. Casimir says. ...
3 times. If he says yes, I'm gonna kill him.
Yes. I play sham and lute. He sings.
Okay, it added a little bit more.
Option 1 of 2, are you Polish?
This must be like talking to Twitch channels.
Option 1 of 2, are you Polish?
I don't think it's that bad.
Casimir says. Yes. From Kalis.
I need to stop.
Option 1 of 2,
I
all
can't.
Right.
I have
option
to
2 of 2,
do.
what
I
are
have
you
to
two
use my
doing in
time
Tassing?
better.
Option 1 of 2, all right. I won't take up any more of your time. Casimir says. Thanks. God bless you.
How do you not have that card ready? Are you tossing them away every time? You know you can reuse some of them, like thanks and God bless.
Alexander. Casimir's. Hans. Wojciech.
Oh, that's why
Hans.
we have the
Casimir's.
marker here.
Killian.
Well, Jaslav is
Killian.
here.
Killian says hi, Mags. Sorry, I can't talk for long right. Option 1 of 2, Magdalene. Killian says, oh, of course, Magdalene. I didn't mean to be impolite. Option 1 of 2, it's alright. What's keeping you so busy? Killian says, you know, setting up for the Christmas feast. It's always a lot of work. And Dad can't do it all alone. He pretends to be strong, but I think some of it is an act. He's growing older, and sadder. Option 1 of 2, I imagine he
Damn.
misses your mom. Option 2 of 2, oh, Killian says I don't really know how to help him, he doesn't talk about her much anymore. I think he's ashamed.
Well, she did fuck another man and caused the revolt, basically, so... I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man.
I'm not, though. She was still my mom. Option 1 of 2, you rewrite to not be ashamed. Killian says thanks. That means a lot, everyone does bad things sometimes, you know. When the monks were around, they told us all about God's forgiveness. Wojciech talks about it a lot.
Well, Jaslav is not good DJ around here.
So that's what I try to. Forgive. Option 1 of 2, UVE got a kind heart, Killian. Killian says maybe. I just do what I think is right. How's your mural coming along, anyway? Player says well enough. I'm trying to learn more about the days of the revolt. Killian says I suspect many don't want to talk about that time. Painful memories. Player says I think you're right. Killian says I don't blame them. Dad hasn't spoken about it in years. Oh, I'm sorry, Magdalene. I really have to get back to work. Player says be well.
Alright.
Killian. Casimir's.
Alright, let me talk to freaking Wojciech, because then we can get out of this meat slapping thing that I'm hating, honestly.
Hans says hello, Magdalene. Yuta says hello, Magdalene. How's the weather? We've been prepping for the feast in here all day. Option 1 of 3, fresh and brisk. Perfect for a walk. Simon says ugh, better you than me. I'll stay in here, where I can keep my fingers warm. Matilda says you'd better keep your fingers out of my dough, Master Bauer.
Damn, Matilda.
Simon says I didn't do anything. Matilda says you've snuck your little fingers into my cookie dough 3 times today.
Fucking
do it again
Simon.
And I'll wrap your knuckles with the back of my spoon. Hans says don't anger Mistress Matilda, Simon. Simon says yes, sir. Sorry, Mistress Matilda.
Wink, no, that's so bad.
Matilda says we need enough dough to make cookies for the entire town. You can't be eating it all. Hans says anyway, what did you come in for, Magdalene? Player says I was hoping you could tell me what you remember of the revolt. I was too young to remember much of it.
I mean, what was the wink for though? The meat slapping on Simon putting his hand into the dough. Are they both equally bad?
No one ever seems to talk about it, and Mistress Matilda and Master Wojciech, you two are the only ones left who used to live in the abbey.
Are they together now? Are they no longer monks and nuns?
Wojciech says the only ones who stayed, anyway. Matilda and I had been friendly enough with the people in town, we put it behind us in time. You can imagine the other brothers had little reason to remain. Old Edok made it out. I think Father Gernot paid for him to go back to an abbey in Cornwall.
Is he still alive? Fuck, it actually looks like the guy that tried to kill me. And he was on the verge of telling us something extremely important. He did knew about the book. And he was a scribe, so he was one of the few people that could have written in a fancy ink and a fancy font.
I'm not sure what happened to the others. But the whole thing is a sensitive subject, Magdalene. Why are you asking? Option 1 of 2, I want to honor everyone who fought in the revolt in the Rathaus mural. Wojciech says, for the sake of seeing it portrayed right, I'll tell you what I remember. Yuta says wait, Magdalene, here. Come cut out cookies with me first. That way we don't fall behind while we chat.
Oh sure, I'll cut
Hans
cookies.
says we'd be grateful for the help. Yuta says alright, Magdalene.
Oh fuck.
Cut out cookies from the dough and set them aside so Simon can put them on a tray.
Are we sure we should be trusting Simon with this?
We'll need a good number in a variety of shapes, so don't hesitate to change which cutter you use. We have to have enough for the whole town, after all.
What? Fuck is going on? There we go. How do we make space for a lot of hearts? Fuck. I can't help but see like a big butt instead of a heart. That's not a lot of round cookies, but they'll be okay, I suppose. Let's make a couple more circles, I suppose. Well, never mind. There we go. I can't do more than
Are
this.
you done? These look wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can make more if you want, but it looks like we have enough. Option 1 of 2, let me try again. Option 2 of 2, I think that's good for now. Yuta says thanks for helping, Magdalene.
Yeah, no problem. What a
Jaslav
weird
says we better
minigame.
keep going if we're going to have everything ready by the procession tonight. Simon says so, what can we tell you, Mags? Player says I heard the Landsknechts came into town before the revolt and warned everyone to leave the abbey alone. Option 3 of 3 Option 1 of 3 could things really have been talked out, or was it too late by then?
Right.
Hans says there were some people who wanted to talk. Master Mailer worked hard to keep the peace, but after Otto was killed. Wojcislav says that Andreas Mailer did nothing but raise trouble every time he set foot in Tassing.
Of course he would say that. Andreas ruined his secret relationship. It's unbelievable that he still think he was in the right, despite the fact that he was a monk that took a vow of freaking celibacy or whatever, and was still fucking a nun in the woods. Like, come on, man. You gotta see how that looks. You gotta know.
Player says he did. But my dad holds him in such high regard. Hans says your father was blind to the harm he did Tassing, and blames himself too much for his part in the mess.
People didn't really like Andreas, huh?
Wojcislav says Andreas Mailer may have had the best intentions, but you'd have to be a fool not to see the harm he did in Tassing. He told the archdeacon that Matilda and I had been fraternizing. The abbot forbid us from seeing one another afterward.
I mean, oh, this pisses me off.
Simon says but didn't he discover that the prior was doing witchcraft? Wojcislav says yes, and the revelation that a monk had been doing such things made the peasants even more distrustful of the abbey.
How is that Andreas's fault? The fucking guy was a witch.
Matilda says though it was not without merit, either. Thanks to his meddling, Wojcislav and I decided to leave the abbey. Simon says but Andreas died trying to stop the revolt and save the abbey. Wojcislav says and that too was another work of folly. He tried to save as many books in the library as he could. Claus mourned his death for a long time, when he could have escaped with his life.
I mean, that is true, yeah. That was stupid.
Option 1 of 3 but wasn't the revolt in general justified?
That's deeply stupid.
That was so goddamn loud. I am so sorry. But that was deeply stupid. I did lower the volume. This is still that issue where Microsoft basically deletes all my settings, all my audio settings from time to time.
Option 2 of 3, would it have been best to leave the matter alone? Hans says no. Not then. We couldn't even collect in the forest without a fee. Dad kept saying we couldn't live with higher and higher taxes. The night Otto died, the abbot was trying to excommunicate everyone for celebrating St. John's Eve. A lot of people thought the abbot killed him, in revenge. Yuta says turns out it was Hannah, the innkeeper's wife. I still say she was pressured into it by the miller. Hans says still, after Otto and Ulrich, that was too much. We burned the mill, with both bastards inside. The abbot promised to help if Andreas found the person who killed Otto. All we wanted was to talk. Option 1 of 3, but didn't you say that you just burned down the mill?
Yeah, that is a good point, but that's because they killed Ulrich, right?
Hans says yes, but only to protect ourselves. Lenhart and Hannah were both murderers. It was too much for Peter. Lenhart was one thing. He just killed Ulrich, but to burn the abbey.
Yeah, that was fucked up.
Wojcislav says but when the Landsknechts saw the fire, they thought they had another revolt on their hands. Even Father Gernot couldn't stop them. We all fled. Brother Florian saved as many as he could, but Yuta says Peter was wrong to burn the abbey, but what the soldiers did, that was awful.
Yeah, I mean, the soldiers did what soldiers do. They came in town, they saw a bunch of peasants with torches and forks, and they started killing. Can you blame them? They were literally burning down the fucking abbey and the mill. It did look like a crazy angry mob.
Simon says Dad died protecting me. Stabbed in the chest. I don't even remember what he was wearing, but I remember how dark the blood was when we found him, almost black, and sticky, like treacle. Hans says Dad socked one of the soldiers in the face, but another was right there, and...
Why even fighting the soldiers in the first place?
Yuta says Magdalene, can we stop talking about this? Option 1 of 3 of course, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset anyone. Option 2 of 3 yes. Thank you for talking to me. I'll do my best on the mural. Simon says good luck. We'll see you at the procession later. Player says until then.
Right, if I paint the soldiers as the bad guys, the Lord will kill me and close down the rat house.
Wojcislav says God bless you, Magdalene. Player says hello, Wojcislav, I have an odd question for you. Wojcislav says oh. Player says when I was exploring the abbey for the mural background I stumbled upon some stray cats. Were there a lot of cats during your time? Wojcislav says haha. Yes, as a matter of fact, there were. There were always cats around the abbey, but one summer, they started begging for food. Persistent little creatures. Brother Lucas swears he never fed them, but I have my doubts. Player says well, they seem to have made the abbey their home now. Wojcislav says ha. Good for them. At least someone is making use of that old structure. Thank you for telling me, Magdalene. Player says be well. Wojcislav says God bless you and your father, Magdalene.
Right,
Wojcislav, Hans. Hans
That's
says
all.
hello, Magdalene. Player says hello. Hans says, did you need something? Option 1 of 3 just wanted to see what you were doing. Option 3 of 3 say, Hans, I've seen you sneaking into the forest on occasion. What exactly do you do there?
That is interesting. What do you do in the forest?
Hans says not sneaking, just going. I go there to meet Big Jurg.
Uh-huh.
To lift logs.
Do you do you often lift logs with Big York?
Player says, why would you do that? Hans says we lift big logs to see who's stronger. It's a contest.
Uh-huh.
Option 1 of 3.
I'm guessing Big York can lift the biggest of logs.
Option 3 of 3. Does anyone else participate in this contest? Hans says not usually. There aren't many others in Tassing strong enough. Other than Big Jurg.
Doesn't seem very strong. I mean,
Simon's big, like Sepp was, but he's not interested.
who the fuck is Sepp? Whoa, who is Sepp? Who was Sepp? I don't think I've ever seen that guy.
He's always busy taking care of the farm. Maybe Apollo can join us one day. He's been getting stout the last few years. Player says alright. Who's winning so far? Hans says Jurg. But barely.
Of course.
I've been gaining on him.
You're like 30 years younger than Jorg and he still wins.
He's growing older and softer with his council work. Haha.
Softer? That's that's a weird way to put it.
Option 1 of 3, huh? I see. Option 2 of 3, so, this is a thing that men just do from time to time. Hans says me and Jurg, sure. I don't know about anyone else. You're welcome to join us, Magdalene. Option 1 of 2, perhaps you haven't
I don't
noticed,
want to be
but I'm
anywhere
not
near
very
your
big
logs.
myself. Hans says that's why we've got to get you hefting logs. Don't worry, we'll find you some smaller ones to start with, maybe it'd put some meat on those bones. Player says, sure. Maybe I'll drop by someday.
Sure.
Hans says Christ, Jurg will get a kick out of that. You really mean it, right? Option 1 of 2, oh, absolutely. Hans says great. I should get back to work now.
Sure,
Until
I'll
later.
do
Player
a
says
log
until then.
lifting contest with Big Jorg.
Wojslav. Wojslav, Hans,
Why the heck not?
Kazimierz, Alexander, Meadow.
We're stuck here for the whole winter anyway.
Mill. Forest. Lower Abbey.
They were very quick to rebuild the mill.
Guest house.
For obvious
Abbot
reasons,
house.
I suppose. They probably needed the mill more than they needed the
Guest
abbey.
house. Upper Abbey.
Oh, it's locked. We can't even go up
Meadow.
there now.
The valley looks so beautiful covered in snow. Forest.
Hmm. See how they're doing.
Smokey. Smokey says hello, Vaxlov. Vaxlov says hello again, Magdalene. Are you getting ready for the Christmas celebrations?
Sure.
Option 1 of 2, of course, along with everyone else in town.
Actually, man, I'm doing other
Option 2 of
things.
2, not really. I have other things I'm trying to take care of. Vaxlov says you are quite a busy young woman. Smokey told me your father was injured. How is he? Option 1 of 2, I think he's going to be alright. It will just take time.
No, he's not doing well.
Option 2 of 2, I don't know, Vaxlov. He's not doing well. Vaxlov says I'm sorry. I will hope for the best. Well, I don't want to keep you from your tasks. Option 1 of 2, I'll see you later, then. Merry Christmas, Vaxlov. Vaxlov says Merry Christmas. Smokey. Vaxlov.
Alright.
Meadow. Shrine of Saint Sasha.
Is someone at the shrine or in the forest? Oh my god. Super radioactive over there. We don't go there.
Forest. Waterfall. Player says the waterfall is always so beautiful.
It's all
We're
frozen.
lucky. Even during the winter, it never fully freezes over.
Okay, the mine has become super radioactive as well. We can't go there.
Forest. Meadow. Vaxlov. Smokey. Church and
Guess we
Druggers.
could go talk to Big Jorg about his
Meadow.
logs.
Mill. Martin Bauer Farm. Martin Bauer House.
God, the radiation is coming into Tassing. We got so
Bauer Farm.
little out of Ottilia. It's such a sad tale.
Hans Bauer House. Hans
Sad
Bauer
old
House.
woman.
Town Commons. Gerdner Farm. Gerdner House.
Gordon House. We have to talk to Clara, right? Jorg?
Big Jurg. Gerdner Farm. Grit.
Oh my god,
Gerdner
look how
Grit.
cute Gret is. Aw, sewing the little, what the fuck are those things?
Grit says bless you, Magdalene. Clara. Ursula. Gerdner bedroom.
Clara, Ursula, the
Apollo.
freaking
Artemis.
voice is panicking, the text-to-speech.
Artemis. Apollo. Apollo says I can't believe you would ruin our plan and tell Father Thomas, Magdalene.
I didn't mean to.
It was going to be hilarious, but you ruined it. Option 1 of 3 putting frogs in. Option 3 of 3. Option 1 of 3 putting frogs in the Eucharist isn't funny. It risks the town's salvation. Option 2 of 3 I am sick of your pranks, Apollo. It's about time you dealt with the consequences of your actions. Option 3 of 3 you re such a child. Why can't you grow up and do something useful with your life?
Damn.
Apollo says what the hell, Magdalene. Christ, and to think you used to be fun to talk to, bitch. Ugh. Whatever.
I mean, she's not wrong though.
That's the last time we help you.
When did you help me do what?
Apollo, Artemis, Apollo,
Go away.
Apollo, Gertner house.
Fuck these guys.
Ursula, Gertner bedroom. Ursula, Clara. Clara says hello, Magdalene. I would have thought you'd be working on the mural today. What brings you here? Player says I would like sit with you and ask how you remember the rebellion so that I can paint it, if that's alright. Clara says that was a sad time. If it will help you memorialize those we lost in the revolt, yes, I'll answer a few questions. Ursula says I don't mind. I was a little older than you, so I probably remember more, Magdalene. Grit says of course, Magdalene, we'll tell you all you want to know. I've been looking forward to seeing the mural for some months.
Oh, Gret lost her husband. Like, Ulrich was the first one to go. Shot by the freaking miller.
Clara says come now, sit with us.
Are you gonna make me do a sewing minigame? Yep.
Now that you're all settled, what did you want to know? Player says did the revolt have anything to do with the other murder that happened in Tassing? Clara says oh, the murder of the Baron, you mean? No, not really. I only remember that Andreas attempted to be a peacekeeper in both situations. I suppose that's when things started going poorly. Grit says yes, after Prior Ferenc was discovered as a witch, people weren't as willing to trust the abbey anymore. Then the abbot became more severe. He didn't like that the prior's death rattled his control of Tassing. Clara says I still think that the old prior cursed the town. That's when crops started failing. Grit says I don't know about any of that, but his taxes and restrictions, and his attitude toward us, became harsher after that. Clara says it was all we could do to live by them, but it eventually became too much. Player says even with all the restrictions, was the revolt really justified? I keep hearing conflicting stories about how it began. Option 1 of 2 I know things were bad for the peasants, but was it worth all the loss?
Yeah, was it worth it? I don't think so.
Clara says you wouldn't remember it, Magdalene, but the abbot forced us to starvation. We would have died either way.
I mean, if you only listen to Andreas, he was actually fixing things.
Grit says we did everything we could to keep things from getting violent, but the Lord had other plans. Ursula says I remember how sick and hungry I was all the time. Grandpa kept saying it hadn't always been like that. Clara says all was fine until Hannah, Nico's wife, killed Otto because she feared what would happen if the abbey shut down. Well, my husband wouldn't let that rest. We all wanted justice. When that soldier arrived and threatened us, all the townsfolk pulled away, except for you and Ulrich, Grit. Grit says no, Clara. I'm afraid even I was intimidated, and begged Ulrich to leave the matter be. My husband alone stood with the peasants. Option 1 of 3 why did all the peasants revolt, anyway? So many people died. They must have known it wouldn't succeed. Option 2 of 3 Dad always talks about how he regrets that choice. That's why he wanted to paint the mural. Grit says your father is unique in that regard. Most of the other townsfolk see the revolt's failure as proof that it was doomed from the start. Clara says truly, if the entire town banded together, we likely could have succeeded without violence at all.
Unlikely. I feel like the soldier would have killed more people, if anything.
By then, we were so starved and wanted justice so much Peter truly thought success was possible. Grit says there was still some discussion. Ulrich and Andreas wanted peace. Ursula says then that fucking Miller protected that bitch. He always hated us, thought he was better than us.
Yeah, the miller was really the worst.
Clara says Ursula. Language.
No, she's right.
Ursula says what, Mom? It's true. Lenhart even shot Ulrich, out of nowhere.
Also very true.
Option 1 of 2 it was unprovoked.
It was unprovoked. I mean, people were just trying to get Hannah, and he decided to die on that hill. I don't know why. I truly don't understand why. He was treating women like absolute garbage, right? He didn't care about any of the women. He even went on record saying he fucked most of the women in town. And for some reason, he just decided to defend Hannah to death.
Clara says yes. Lenhart always did hate the rest of the townsfolk, and he would take advantage of anyone he could. Grid says, my husband sought peace to the last. He was a martyr to us. Clara says I think the miller shot Ulrich to retaliate, but after that, Peter couldn't be stopped.
Yeah.
We'd lost too much. Grid says the burning of the abbey was a grim night. And the soldiers coming in. Clara says our men fought to protect us, to protect Tassing, and many died in that fight. Ursula says but we got rid of the abbot and all the monks, at least. Clara says yes, and that is some comfort, if only a little. Player says are there any heroes of Tassing I should memorialize?
Definitely Ulrich.
Ursula says Dad, definitely.
No, Peter was like the worst, and he was the most inflammatory person from the peasant side.
Clara says Peter always wanted the best for Tassing, even if he acted rashly by setting fire to the abbey. I hope you can portray him in the best light, Magdalene. I'd rather not talk about that night anymore. I hope we provided enough insight for your work. Option 1 of 3 you did, thank you. I'll let you get back to work. Clara says thank you, Magdalene. I'm certain the mural will be beautiful.
Sure.
Ursula.
Ursula, what? Some time randomly passed, though the game didn't warn me it would move the time
Ursula
forward.
says hello, Grit. Grit says bless you, Gertner Farm, Big Jurg. Big Gertner Farm. Maps.
We could go up the rat house. Oh yeah, talk to Agnes. I forgot about Agnes. Let's do that one.
Town Commons.
And Ava. We have to talk to Ava.
Gertner Farm. Hansbauer Farm. Kreutzer House.
So Ava is going to be the Kreutzer house, right?
Blackdill. Blackdill says hello, Eva. Christina. Christina says Magda. Eva. Player says hello, Eva. Eva says Magda, darling. Eds isn't here, I'm afraid.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to tell you I don't give a shit about your son.
Option 1 of 3 oh, that's alright. I can find him later, if I need to. Eva says I think he wandered off toward the rat house.
Right.
Something about the council, but if you ask me, I think he's looking for you. Option 1 of 3 that's sweet of him. He has been dropping by the rat house more often as of late.
Doesn't he do
Option
any
3 of 3
real
knows if he do
work?
any real work?
Damn.
Option 2 of 3 I am sorry to disappoint him. Eva says haha. He'll recover, once he learns you've dropped by. He's always working on town council business these days, and he's still working at mastering carpentry, too. I suggested a few years ago that he take up an apprenticeship, but he was determined to remain in Tassing. I think he's more comfortable here, even if that means he'll never be the craftsman Otto was. I help him how I can, but there's only so much I know how to do.
Right.
Besides, I think he feels like he's taking care of me, instead of the other way around. Funny, option 1 of 3 it's good of him to stay. I would worry that you'd be lonely, otherwise. Eva says oh, even if he had gone, I wouldn't be alone. I have Mom and Jurg, and the rest of the family to help take care of.
Of course.
Besides, they keep me busy. I'll never want for anything, with its and the community here in Tassing. I miss my husband, but I'm proud of its. He's growing into a capable young man.
Look, he's alright. I just don't want to stay in Tassing, but nothing against the Bean Baby.
I'm excited to see him grow into a husband and father. He'll make a wonderful partner. Option 1 of 2 whoever he marries will be a lucky woman. Option 2 Eva says it's about that time to start finding a match, too. It's wonderful that God blessed Edries with a wife at last, but I'd rather not have it be in his position. Better to marry earlier while he can raise a family.
Are you, do you have anyone in mind?
Anyway, I'm sure you have things to do. I'll let you get back to them. Always good to see you.
Wait, I
Magda.
had to
Player
talk to
says
you
too,
about...
Eva.
Hang on. We didn't
Eva
talk
says
about
hello, Magda.
the freaking...
Blackdill.
Oh, whatever.
Black Town Commons. Church and Druckers.
Alright, where's Agnes?
Kreutzer House. Hansbauer Farm. Gertner Farm. Central Town. Alban Bakery.
Shit, the... No, she wasn't at the bakery.
Central Town.
Don't remember her
Road
last name.
Steinauer
Is it the
House.
Steinhauer?
Bridget, Agnes.
Oh, there you
Central
go.
Town. Veronica, Bridget, Agnes. Agnes. Bridget, Veronica. Veronica says hello. Bridget, Agnes.
Agnes.
Agnes says Magdalene Drucker in. I didn't expect to see you today. How is your father?
Not great.
Option 1 of 3, he's not well, honestly. Agnes says, oh, no. I'm so sorry. Bridget says he'll be in our prayers tonight. Veronica says ours as well. Agnes says, now then, is there something we can help you with? Dear, option 1 of 2, I have a small favor to ask.
Agnes,
Option 2 of
you're
2,
old.
Agnes, you're old. You remember things that happened in this town,
So
right?
you're ancient, right? You're almost dust at this point, let's be honest. Can you tell me about the night everyone
Option 1 of 2, I
died?
have a small favor to ask. Agnes says, oh. Go on, then. Spit it out. Player says, if it isn't too much trouble, I'd like you all to recount what you remember of the revolt. I'm nearly done with my mural, but I need more details. I was so young I don't remember much of that night. Agnes says, oh, or that project of yours in the rat house. I'm afraid I won't have much good to say about the matter, but alright. Veronica says, come sit down, Magdalene. Don't worry about helping with the reeds. Bridget says, it took me years to get the technique up to mom's expectations, so you're better off not helping.
Oh, thank God.
Agnes says, Pop. You always did fine, Bridget.
Alright.
Veronica
Let's hear
says
it.
so. Magdalene, what do you need to know to finish the mural? Player says, I was hoping to ask you more about the revolt. All I can remember was the flames when the abbey burned. Veronica says, what part of the revolt? The abbot starving us out of house and home. Otto's murder? I doubt that would be a good painting.
I mean, if you say it like that.
Option 1 of 3, I thought the abbot of Kiersau was acting in his rights. Option 2 of 3, it seems like the abbot at Kiersau wasn't on very good terms with Tassing. Option 3 of 3, I thought there was an attempt to talk to the abbot. Agnes says there was, until Otto was killed. After that, the monks shut themselves up in the abbey library.
Not willingly, because people marched into the abbey with torches, threatening to kill the abbot or burn down the place. Like...
Meanwhile, that bastard abbot only ever cared for how many pfennigs he could get from us.
That's not true. I mean, I was not on his side for the longest time. But at the end, it was Brother Guy stealing money. Like the abbot was only trying to keep the abbey up, you know, standing.
Bridget, don't forget to twist the ends in. Can't have it looking like a Christmas hedgehog. Bridget says, I'm getting there, Mom. I've looked after Martin and Kraft well enough, haven't I? I can manage this. Agnes says, yes, well, after your father died, I've got no one left to nag besides you and that husband of yours. Thank God I have the both of you, as a matter of fact. Let an old woman have her vices. Veronica says the Gertner house was a bit sad. Jörg always gets quiet this time of year. Option 1 of 2, whatever for? Agnes says, I reckon because that family's been hard pressed since Peter died. Tassing's lost a good number of folk over the years, and feast days and celebrations make it harder to bear.
Right. That is a well-known fact in even nowadays in people that suffer from grief, depression, like the holidays and the occurrences and all those things are always the worst. Just a heavy reminder of the fact that the person you're missing is not there with you anymore.
Player says, you mean the revolt, right? Agnes says the revolt, the murders, that fool Andreas had to meddle in everything. Didn't do too much good, if you ask me.
Oh, Agnes didn't like Andreas. I thought she did.
Option 1 of 3, Andreas Mahler, the artist. I thought he was my dad's friend. Option 3 of 3, Dad said that Master Mahler made some mistakes, but that he was seeking justice for everyone in town. Agnes says, and I think your father is right, in that. And yet, he'd already meddled enough in Tassing after the Baron's murder that he held more sway than he knew. I could understand it the first time. He wanted to save that old monk. I dare say he saw him as a father. And it was proven the prior was a witch,
Good old
so I
Piero.
suppose he did some good for Tassing then. Veronica says I think Wojciech might be the only person left in Tassing who even remembers the old prior. Agnes says that's when the trouble started, I say. The townsfolk saw a monk killed, and the abbot was incensed. Then came the revolt, and Andreas Mahler happened to show up nearly the day of Otto's murder. Option 1 of 3, did the revolt accomplish anything? Option 2 of 3, Dad always says the townsfolk didn't stand with the peasants as long as they should have. Option 3 of 3, I always heard that night was a slaughter. Why didn't anyone stop the peasants? Option 1 of 3, did the revolt accomplish anything? Agnes says well, the entire matter was a horrible, bloody mess, but did restore peace in Tassing. By force.
By force from the Landseconnect.
A shame it had to happen at all, I think. I knew the revolt was a bad idea from the start. Brigida says old Wojciech would be the only one to know what happened inside the old church now, before the fire. Agnes says truth be told, I heard he was just as upset at Andreas and the abbot. Some like to say things were always this bad, that violence was the only way, but it wasn't. Life got worse over the years. It wasn't like this when I was a child, not in my grandparents' time, either.
Right.
Sure, the abbot was pinching the townsfolk and the peasants were suffering, but to go against the church? Veronica says but like you said, things weren't always so bad. We fought to make things right. Option 1 of 3, but things got better in the end, right? Even if so many people died. Brigida says what kind of good comes from violence? Veronica says I've never seen Peter so angry. Agnes says that soldier even warned Peter, but nothing would stop him besides steel. Player says so, nothing got better? At all? Agnes says no, not as I see it.
Right.
The Lord is just as severe as the abbot was,
Yikes.
and threatens force at every turn. Brigida says that's life. You can struggle and die to accomplish something, and nothing changes.
I mean, I feel like at some point Andreas did warn them that the Lord would be even worse than the abbot. But people were just so angry and not listening.
Agnes says the dead are luckier. They died believing they changed something. We're stuck with the harsh reality. Brigida says this is all you've known, Magdalene. You've grown used to it. We all have. Option 1 of 2, thank you for sharing your story with me. Agnes says it's important to share our suffering with the younger generations. Maybe they can change something.
Yeah, you always hope that, and yet here we are, even nowadays.
Veronica says good luck on the mural, Magdalene. Agnes says good luck, Magdalene. Steinauer House.
Humanity really doesn't learn. It doesn't have a memory. Like,
Player says time to go to the commons for the Perchtenlauf.
it feels like it does, but it really doesn't.
Church and Druckers.
Where do we go?
Maps.
Oh, there's like Christmas party. Alright, let's go to the Christmas party.
Drucker House. Martin Bauer Farm. Martin Bauer House.
Should I check on my dad? Ah, frick.
Martin Bauer House. Church and Druckers.
I mean, we needed to talk to him. I don't know if he's gonna be still alive by the end of the night, so...
Drucker House Upper.
Just a little quick Klaus check.
Claus says hello, Magdalene.
Alright, still breathing. Not the time yet.
Drucker House. Church and Druckers.
Oh,
Town Commons.
keep coughing. That's so annoying. That's a
Apollo
lot of
says Christ, it's too damn cold.
people freezing to death. Only Gret is the cheerful one. Like, holy crap. Everyone else looks cold and uncomfortable. Oh no, actually Natsu, he's having a real good time, it seems.
Clara says oh, good, you made it, Magda. I was getting worried you would miss the procession.
There's a procession?
Option 1 of 3, I wouldn't miss the Perchtenlauf for the world.
A version of Lauf.
Option, Clara says the costumes are just too wonderful to miss, aren't they? I remember the mask scared me when I was little. Ursula says SHH. It's starting.
SHH.
Martha says oh, Artemis looks so lovely. I'd love to be the bright saint one year, leading off all the demons into the woods.
Good lord. Careful with that torch there, my guy.
Apollo says that's the only type of boys that'll follow you, Artemis. Haha.
Fucking what a man-child, Apollo. You know what? I don't regret what I said to him.
Veronica says Apollo. Stop that. Apollo says, sorry, Mom.
He's such an idiot.
Eva says Christina, see the Pritchton?
What's the perchant? Ah, the devils, okay.
Christina says so scary. Andrea says I don't like it. Anna says SHH, Andreas, you're alright. They're only costumes. Big masks that our neighbors are wearing, remember. Hetty says ugh, it's so cold. Anna says Magdalene, would you want to be the bright saint or one of the Pritchton? Option 1 of 3 I would want to
none
be the
of
bright
them.
saint. The crown is my favorite. Option 3 of 3 I don't think I'd want to be part of the procession.
Yeah,
I enjoy watching.
I like watching, you know.
Anna says really? You're normally so outgoing. I guess watching is a better view, though. Martha says it doesn't seem fair Artemis gets to be the bright
Wink.
saint, since her dad is on the town council. Clara says you'll get your chance, don't worry. Tassing's done the Pritchton Lout as long as I can remember. Everyone in town's been a part of the procession before, well, except for you young ones yet. Option 1 of 3 I wish Dad could be here.
The hair on my neck is standing up again.
Option 2 of 3
I feel
the
like
hair on my
someone
neck
is
standing
around,
up
someone
again.
bad.
Clara says haha. Are the Pritchton giving you the shivers, too? That's why we're driving them away, you know. Veronica says as beautiful as ever. Hetty says as goddamn long as ever. Big Yerg says well, at least we're going to eat after this.
Oh, look at this.
It says oh hey,
Oh,
Max.
freak. Magdalene, how many times do I have to tell you? You're fucking drunk. Get away from me.
Magda, whatever. Mags, you made it? I was worried for a minute you'd skip out on the fun. Merry Christmas, Mags.
Look, I didn't have a good fuck with Andreas. I'm not gonna start now, okay? This is a no fucking run. So, get off my back, alright?
Option 1 of 3 Merry Christmas, it's. Option 2 of 3 Tipsy already? How irresponsible for someone on the town council. It says Christ, Mags, relax. It's Christmas. Besides, Big Yerg's already had 3.
Yeah, but Big York is Big York, you know? You can have like dozens.
Alexander and Kaz look like they're going to play something, too. Option 1 of 2 oh, I hope they play Christborn on Christmas Day. That's my favorite. It says which one is that? Player says it's, we sing it every year. It says we sing all of them every year, Mags. I can't keep them straight.
You got them right, you can keep straight. Oh, look at little Andreas.
Big Yerg says ahem.
Ahem. He says ahem.
Veronica says hey. Everyone listen up. Yerg would like to speak. Big Yerg says yes. Thank you, Veronica. On behalf of the town council, I wanted to thank everyone for coming tonight. Option 3 of 3 listen intently. Option 2 of 3 God, this could take a while. Option 1 of 3 speech. Speech.
No, let's not put him on the spot. I'm just gonna listen.
Option Big Yerg says this year has been tough on all of us. We've had more snowfall than anyone can remember, and the early frost gave us a small harvest. Folk haven't come through the pass as often. Nico, you've been short of customers, and we've all missed the trade. Alexander and Casimir's, you've been kept from your journey. Natsiu, the snow has kept you from returning home.
Oh damn, he's stuck here, huh?
And I know we've all felt the lack of Claus in town as he's been bedridden these past few months.
Fuck, what a downer of a speech.
And yet, the Lord has blessed us with each other, cheerful guests, and good company. Grit says cheers. Wojcislav says a. Thomas says thanks be. Natsio says God bless. Big Yerg says even though the season has been rough, God knows we still have a lot to celebrate this Yuletide.
Oh, the Yuletide, of course. Christmas time. Referring to the pagan celebration of Yule, the winter solstice.
Endries, you've made tools we couldn't have gone without.
Rocket cat. Hang on. How do I check that? I don't think I can.
Andri says just practicing my trade. Big Jurg says Dr. Stalls, you've kept us all in good humors. Werner says a proof of my experience, Jurg, in such cruel weather. Option 1 of 2 I thought this was from the town council, not to it. Option 2 of 2 keep listening. Big Jurg says Magdalene, you painted the mural for us. Option 1 of 3 thank you all for entrusting me with this task. I've done my best to honor Tassing's history. Big Jurg says Alexander and Casimir's, you've spread good cheer in the early winter nights. Alexander says our pleasure, truly. Big Jurg says and, especially tonight, I think we should thank Baldas, for making such a wonderful beer for us all to enjoy.
Here, here.
Andri it says, Paul said, Hetty says God bless.
Someone said here, here.
Baltasar says no, please. Nazio helped tremendously. It's thanks to him, really.
Ah, right. The long tradition of Italian beer. As opposed to the German beer. What?
Nazio says well, grazie. Big Jurg says and thanks to our Lord, who has so graciously provided for this feast. Thomas said, Hetty said, Paul said, Baltasar says cheers to him. Alexander says Casimir's and I shall play later in the evening, so please come to us with songs, if you have one in mind.
The freaking text-to-speech doesn't know how to deal with multiple people talking at the same time.
It says, Anna says, Hetty says let's have a dance. Big Jurg says well, that's it, everyone. Thomas says if I may, Jurg, I'd like to bless this great feast our Lord has provided for us. Big Jurg says of course, Father. Thomas says today, we have come together to celebrate the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Everyone's falling to sleep already.
Just as our Lord has provided for us with this meal, so too did Christ provide us with the bread of life. So please, join with me in prayer. Bless us, O Lord, and these, thy gifts, which we are about to receive. Through Christ, our Lord. Amen. And Wojaslav says
Holy
amen.
shit.
Player says amen.
Text-to-speech had a stroke. David, what are you doing?
Thomas says now please, everyone, I know Baltas made a fine beer, but remember that temperance is a virtue. Celebrate the Christ child as though his manger were here with us.
Oh, shut the fuck up, Thomas.
Option 1 of 2 wasn't he the whole point that there wasn't any room in the inns? Option 2 of 2 squint. Big Jurg says Merry Christmas, everyone. Apollo says finally. Let's eat.
Alright, here we go. Oh my god, little Andreas is the best. He's the new golden boy. Huh?
Andries.
Yeah. Radiation.
Andries says Happy Christmas, Magdalene. Razy says Magdalene, dear. Matilda says Merry Christmas, Magda. Wojaslav says God bless. Player says Merry Christmas, everyone. How are you enjoying the feast? Razy says utterly delightful. Wojaslav says a hearty meal, a mug of Balta's latest brew, everything a soul could wish for.
Oh, look at them all happy.
Andries says it's everything your ample belly could wish for.
It's almost like there's a tragedy about to happen, like Klaus is going to ruin the Christmas night by dying on us.
Wojaslav says I am as God made me in his infinite wisdom. Option 1 of 2 I can see you're all in a great mood. Razy says impossible not to be, when I look at all families gathered here tonight. The laughter of children running around. The love that brings a community together. We are blessed. Option 2 of 2 but isn't this only pretense? We come to celebrate Christ today, only to return to bickering tomorrow? Option 1 of 2 it's certainly better than all the arguing. Wojaslav says as long as you have moments such as this, to realize that we matter to each other. Matilda says well said, darling. Andries says to the four of us. Wojaslav says N.A. Zdravi.
What did you just say?
Option 1 of 2 salute.
Hello there.
Razy says I'm so happy I married you, Andries. Andries says the day I was inspired to come find you in Innsbruck was the most important day in my life.
Oh my god, you know what? Andreas did something good in his life, after all.
Matilda says love at long last. We know the feeling, don't we, Wojaslav?
Wished Andreas to go find the love of his life. And he did.
Wojaslav says The path before us
MM.
was filled with thorns and thistles, but we endured. Make sure to prepare for that, Magdalene. There will always be some thorns on the path. Option 1 of 3 I'll do what I can. Option 3 of 3 What's next for you happy couples? Any plans for children?
Fuck, what an uncomfortable question to ask. Sure, let's go with it.
Matilda says. I fear we've become too old for that. Wojaslav says
MM.
Razy says time will tell with us, I suppose.
Is it the new Amen? Amen?
Endry says I'm not so young either. Razy says all things considered, it's best left for God to determine. Option 1 of 2 I hope you all get whatever makes you happiest. Razy says same to you, dear. Endry says make most of this night. You've earned it.
MM.
Matilda says bless you, Magdalene. Wojaslav says enjoy the feast.
Alright.
God bless you.
Oh, we can't
Werner.
talk to Werner. I hate this.
Werner says what?
I didn't even say anything and he goes like, what? Look at his face. What a fucking guy.
Player says Merry Christmas, Werner. Werner says What's merry about it?
The Grinch up here, everybody.
Option 1 of 3 we celebrate the birth of Christ the Savior. Werner says amen and hallelujah. I need another drink. Baltasar says perhaps you ought to take it light tonight, Werner. Werner says did I ask you, Baltasar?
Oh my god, what an asshole even to his friends. Like, you don't have many, Werner. You should be careful.
Nazio says no, be merry, my friends. Drink and be merry. Werner says finally someone with some sense. Option 1 of 2 you two have been fighting for years. Isn't right now the perfect time to resolve your disagreements?
No. Don't
Option
say
2 of
anything
2 say
about
nothing.
that.
Werner says the devil caught your tongue, girl. You usually have plenty to say. Baltasar says do not be so uncouth towards our friend, Werner. Werner says please, I have heard enough of your righteous moralism. Baltasar says as you can tell, this ship has sailed long ago, Magdalene.
But no friends anymore, so Werner is truly a lonely, sad old man.
Option 1 of 3 so you two sit together at the same table, being angry and not talking to each other?
Fuck it, he says I don't say anything? Fine, I'll say things.
Player says I'm no soothsayer, but to me it looks like you want to be friends but are too stubborn to get over yourselves. Nazio says haha, she's sharp, this one. Werner says. ...
I got you there, doctor.
Baltasar says.
Doctor! Oh my god. I shouldn't have done that.
Don't take her side, Nazio. Nazio says I'm sorry, but if she is right. Werner says ugh. I refuse to get myself roped into this foolishness. Option 1 of 2 the fools here are still you two. Werner says you are becoming quite tiresome with this, Magdalene, right, Baltas?
Well, fuck you. You wanted me to talk and now I'm talking.
Baltasar says, yes. Quite so.
Oh, you too, Balthazar?
Option
Fine,
1
I'm
of 2
leaving.
C, that's a start. Continue. Option 2 of 2 good enough. I'll leave you to it and go enjoy the feast. Werner says yes, please. Release our aging souls from your torment. Nazio says perhaps a dance later. Option 1 of 2 we LLC. Option 2 of 2 why not? Player says until later, gentlemen.
Why not?
Eva.
Veronica seems happy. Anna, my girl, how you doing?
Anna says hello, Magdalene. Happy Christmas to you. Paul says good evening, Magdalene. Player says Merry Christmas, you too. Anna says Ulrich, Andreas, say hello to Mistress Druckerin. Ulrich says hi. Andreas says, hi.
Look how cute he is. Oh, of course. I mean, the son of the cutest kid in town has become the cutest kid in town. Like, it was destiny.
Anna says oh, Andreas, don't be shy. You know Mistress Magdalene. Paul says sorry, Magdalene. He's still a bit quiet.
He's fine.
Option 1 of 3 that's alright. There's a lot of commotion here tonight. Anna says yes, haha. I think Andreas is a little overwhelmed after the Prichtenlauf. Option 1 of 2 the Prichten used to scare me when I was little, too. Andreas says really? Player says oh, yes. I hid behind my dad's legs for a long time. I couldn't even look at them. Paul says it's alright to be scared, Andreas. I learned that a long time ago. Andreas says, I still don't like them. Ulrich says I like them. Fuzzy heads.
Of course he does.
Anna says SHH, Ulrich.
SHH.
You can look at the masks later. Paul says how did you like Jurg's speech, Magdalene? Option 1 of 3 is a good reminder of everything we still have. We all needed to hear it. Anna says for Paul putting him up to it at the last moment, it was well done. Paul says well, Werner insisted someone on the council make a speech. I didn't particularly want it to be me. But Jurg did it justice. You can always count on him to speak from the heart, especially a few drinks in.
Right.
Anna says truthfully, I think much of the town needed some encouragement tonight.
Oh shit, I didn't even realize Smokey is here. Is that Smokey, right?
Tassing hasn't had such a hard season since. Paul says since the revolt.
One of the rare occasions we see Smokey with the rest of the town folk.
Anna says yes. I'm sorry. It's Christmas. We shouldn't speak of such sad time. Option 1 of 2 let's toast to better days, then. Paul says cheers to that, although, there is an old Latin proverb my dad used to say to me. Ignis aurum prot, miseria fortes viros. Player says fire is the test of gold, misery is the proof of strong men. Paul says yes, precisely.
Damn.
There's no question, the revolt left Tassing worse off.
Why is
but
the old
seeing town
romance?
now gives me hope. Anna says you're an artist, Magdalene. I think you can see it too. Option 1 of 3 I think I do. Things seem brighter for Tassing.
God, this
somehow.
is way too cheerful. You know it's going down after this party.
Option 2 of 3 you mean, how I'm painting the... Option 1 of 3 I think I do. Option 3 of 3 I don't know about that. Aside from church holidays, the past few months have felt bleak.
Yeah, I mean, they truly have.
Anna says oh, Magdalene, things will get better. They always do. God always provides, no matter the season. Paul says Anna is right. Even though the revolt led to a hard winter, life has gotten better for Tassing. To be honest, most nights I'm grateful for the revolt.
I mean, people don't seem to be thinking like that, but at the same time, we're talking to upper class here.
Option 1 of 2 really? Option 2 of 2 how can you be grateful for something so terrible? Paul says you wouldn't remember, but life was already terrible before that night. The revolt burned away the dead wood that had rotted Tassing for decades. God knows my father was an evil man. His death released me from years of fear. The revolt gave me the courage to face him. To become better than him. I think something of the same happened when the abbey was destroyed. If things had gone on as they always did, well, I doubt we'd be having such a Yule feast tonight.
Right.
The cost was high, but Anna says it resulted in just as much joy as grief. Option 1 of 2 I hadn't thought about it that way. Anna says because of the revolt, I could marry Paul, and we can supply grain to peasants at a fair price. Our children will grow up without the fear that ruled over my life as I got older.
Damn, man.
No moment in life is entirely good or bad, Magdalene. What matters more is how we choose to see it. Option 1 of 3 that's a wonderful way to look at it, Anna. Thank you. Option 3 of 3 but without an objective perspective, we could lose all hold on what we perceive is good or bad. Paul says haha. I suppose so, but that sounds a bit beyond me at the moment.
Right.
Anna says one too many ales, dear. Paul says no, no. Just above my head. You sound like Baltas when he's in the middle of a project, Magdalene.
Is that an insult?
Anna says don't forget to take some time to have fun tonight.
Sounded like an insult.
Ulrich says mommy. I want another cookie. Anna says SHH, don't yell, sweetheart. Paul says excuse us, Magdalene. It seems we have cookies to fetch.
I've cut them. Enjoy the cookies that I made.
Player says of course. Merry Christmas, to all of you. Paul says Merry Christmas, Magdalene.
Alright.
Veronica.
What else do we have? Eva.
It says Magdalene. You finally came over to say hello.
Oh, fuck. I didn't want to talk to you.
Option 1
All
of 3
teasy.
hello again. It's option 2 of 3 so you've decided to use my full name now, have you? It says you asked me to. Player says you've never listened to me before now. Blacktail says head. He's playing nice in front of us. Hello, Magdalene.
Hey, Till.
Player says happy Christmas, Eva, Till. Eva says Magdalene. How good to see you. Blacktail says how is that mural coming along in the rat house? Almost finished with it.
Yeah,
I
almost
hear.
done.
Eva says that's right. The last I heard about it, you were still working on the middle section. The history of the saints, right?
No, that's the history of the revolt.
Option 1 of 3 yes, Mother Francisca was kind enough to invite me into the convent so I could use the cloister as a reference. Option 3 of 3 I've finished that section now. The old abbey ruins were hard to climb through, but I wanted to paint it right.
Did we say this?
Eva says oh, but the remains of the abbey are so run down. That sounds dangerous.
I was fine.
It says you went into the old abbey, Magdalene. Without me?
Didn't ask.
Option 1 of 2 why the hell would I bring you, it's... Blacktail says haha. Quite a capable young woman you are, Magdalene. Eva says Till. Blacktail says not that I'm encouraging it, mind. Well, clearly you can handle yourself, since you made it back without any problems.
Exactly.
And I did warn you about the dangers. Not that I told you to go digging about down there, mind. Eva says anyway, Magdalene, what are you painting on the mural now? Player says I'm working on depicting the revolt, but I think I angered Agnes when I asked her about it. Blacktail says that's right, you were just a few years old then. God, has it been that long?
Yeah, she was like a
Eva
little
says
kid.
don't worry about Agnes. She acts cranky, but she's never truly upset with anyone.
18 years ago.
It took years for Tassing to recover after that night. Thank God, we've come a long way since then. Blacktail says Otto would be proud of what the town has accomplished. Option 1 of 2 I think so, too.
I still don't know what happened to the head of the saint that he said he had.
Eva says you know, Magdalene, I think he would be especially proud of you, for memorializing Tassing in the mural. He would be thrilled to think that you'd become a part of the family. Option 1 of 3 I am honored you think so.
Wait.
Option 2 of 3 wait, are you proposing I marry your son?
What am I accepting here?
Eva says you're a capable young woman, Magdalene. Marriage is the next stage in life for you.
Yeah, not with oats. Sorry.
We'll have to speak with Claus, of course, but you and it's are a good match. Option 1 of 2 right. I'll mention it to Dad. Option 2 of 2 stare awkwardly.
I'm just gonna stare awkwardly. Gonna make everybody uncomfortable.
Eva says anyway, I don't mean to keep you chatting away with us older folks. Have fun, and Merry Christmas. Player says Merry Christmas.
See how they cut it
Eva.
really short after
Kill.
that?
Merry Christmas, it says yeah. Merry Christmas, Mags.
Fucking call me Max again.
Veronica.
Veronica?
Veronica says Merry Christmas, Magdalene. Enjoying the celebration? Option 2 of 3 it's wonderful to see everyone together in such high spirits. Veronica says isn't it? Especially after having to work in this damned cold. I swear, it seeps into your bones. Big Yerg says I can't remember a colder winter. The frost keeps edging around our windows at night. At least the hinges will last through the winter. Veronica says
Oh my god,
those
with
damned hinges again.
fucking hinges, Jorg, stop.
Anyway, like Yerg said earlier, it's nice to have a night of good company and cheer. Option 2 of 4 you seemed hesitant tonight, Yerg. Maybe you should work on speaking in front of people.
No, just don't do that.
Option 3 of 4 thank you for mentioning my father in your speech. Option 4 of 4 yes, you gave a lovely speech, Yerg. Big Yerg says oh, thanks. To be honest, I didn't know what to say until I said it. Everyone was so deep into their drinks, I was worried no one would want to hear what I had to say. Veronica says well, I solved that problem. Maybe I should be on the town council.
Maybe you should.
That way someone can get people's attention and make decisions. Player says ha. A woman,
Ha.
on a town council? Ha 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 ha.
Hi.
Veronica says, old bastard. Big Yerg says you were very helpful, Veronica. Especially because I wasn't expecting to make a speech tonight. Option 1 of 2 that's right. Paul made you do it? Veronica says what? He did? Oh, that bastard. Big Yerg says haha, yeah. Werner kept going on about how someone should say something. Paul said that I was the most charismatic of anyone on the council.
Is he?
Veronica says he said that. Big Yerg says well, he said that I would make the least amount of people angry over it.
Ah, okay,
Balta
yeah.
said it was my charisma. Option 1 of 4 I thought it was fitting for the season, Yerg. Paul did, too. Told me so himself.
Smile
Option 4 of 4
awkwardly
smile
out of this one as well.
Big Yerg says to be honest, I never thought I'd be someone people in Tassing listen to. Player says but you've always been a part of the town council. Big Yerg says we didn't always have a council. It wasn't until the night of the revolt, really, That I felt like I could do things on my own. Be my own man. I loved my father, but, what he did, I thought it had doomed the town. Option 1 of 3, the whole affair was the abbot's fault. Peter did the right thing. Option 2 of 3, a lot of terrible things happened all at once.
Yeah, a lot of things.
No one can shoulder all the blame themselves. Big Yurg says no, but my dad chose violence. He chose to destroy the abbey. I always went along with him because he was my dad. He had to be right. That night was the first time I thought any different. I learned that night that you can fight for something right, and still choose the wrong way to do it, and I swore that I would never let that happen again.
Oh, look at Big York. Character growth.
The revolt broke down everything I thought I knew about Tassing. About myself. But it made a lot of things better for Tassing. And that makes me hopeful. Player says, what do you mean? Big Yurg says, well, our new lord is strict, but he made a deal with us. The council lets us govern ourselves. Veronica says, as much as I was grumbling earlier today, Yurg is right.
Right.
Life changed in Tassing, and even though the first few years were hard, we're better for it now. No abbot looking down on us, making stupid laws as he sees fit. Our lord lives days away. Big Yurg says, as long as we pay our taxes, we're left alone. It's a better life for Artemis and Apollo than we had. Option 1 of 3, choosing to live differently than your dad, was brave. I think you and the rest of the council have done a great job.
Yeah, I mean, life seems decent around town these last years. Let's choose that it's these people's actions that led to that, and not
Option
the
1 of
horrible
3, choosing to
result
live differently
of
than your dad, was
the
brave.
revolt.
I think you. Big Yurg says, thank you, Magdalene. I've done the best I can to do right by the town. And Dad. Anyway, I'm going for another pint. Anyone else? Veronica says, another for me, Yurg. Magdalene. Option 1 of 2, I'll get myself another later, thanks. Big Yurg says, alright. We'll see you later then, Magdalene. Merry Christmas. Player says, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Alright, we just have the bards to speak to, but I think we're gonna continue tomorrow because my voice is about to
Alexander.
die, and I don't
Alexander.
think I can go for much longer. So anyway, we should be fairly close to the end, so hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to finish it. God, I can't believe how long this game has been, but again, it would have been a lot quicker if I could have read everything myself. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys.
Options.
Have a good day, have a good night. I will see you
Make
tomorrow.
quick.
Good night.